Chapter 26. Looking at the cat paw Brian in front of him, he turned his head to Alii, who was aside. Ari immediately concentrated his attention, and soon a palm-sized wormhole appeared on Brian's forehead. Behind the wormhole was Brian's brain. Noah had already sterilized the scalpel, and then without hesitation, he slashed towards Brian's brain and removed the prefrontal lobe of his brain. Okay, let's close the wormhole. Okay. As Alii revoked his ability, Brian's forehead returned to its original shape, and there was nothing abnormal on the surface. This is the convenience of the devil fruit ability. If a normal surgeon were to perform a craniotomy, he would need to make complex preparations in advance and face various risks of infection. The use of the power of the dong fruit, coupled with the domineering power of knowledge, directly avoids the process of craniotomy, minimizes the risk of surgery, and also reduces the difficulty of the surgery. Even if Noah had only performed surgeries and related experiments on animals, Brian's prefrontal lobe could be safely removed. With the prefrontal lobe removal surgery completed, Noah soaked the iron bucket in seawater and took it away. A moment later, after Brian emerged from the seawater, the animal-type devil fruit hidden in his body began to revive. The powerful body recovery ability of the animal type allowed his body to recover quickly. Together with the bottle of nutritional supplements, more than an hour later, Brian woke up on his own. However, Brian, who had just woken up, had dull eyes, and his whole body seemed to be in a state of having no desires. Brian, exist. How do you feel now? Have no idea. Noah asked more than a dozen questions and quickly confirmed the other party's status. But just in case, he still called Mary back and asked her again under Mary's perception. Mary looked at Brian in shock. Brother, what happened to him? Why is he so calm? Even a little abnormally calm. I performed an operation on him, a prefrontal lobotomy. Lobotomy? This surgery has only one effect, and that is to remove emotions. Mary's eyes widened, and she murmured to herself unbearably. There is such a surgery, but isn't it too cruel? Mary, those ordinary people who died at the hands of Brian are the ones you should sympathize with. Don't sympathize with these scum of the sea. Maybe they want to see out of necessity in the first place, but this is not an excuse for them to do evil. If he takes action against the world government and the celestial dragons, then I will admire him as a man. From the moment he takes action against the weak and innocent people, they become evil dragons, no different from the so-called celestial dragons. Mary was silent. When she thought of the common people in Rum Kingdom, her sympathy for Brian suddenly disappeared. Brother, I understand. If we want to change the world, we must show no mercy to the evil people, because the evil people will not show mercy because of your compassion, but will take advantage of your compassion. Your kindness should not be left to these scum of the sea. Yes, Brother Noah. Noah continued to examine Brian's body and run a series of tests. With the completion of a series of tests, Noah discovered that after having his prefrontal lobe removed, Brian completely lost his emotions. But the side effects were also very obvious. That is, the other party could only act based on biological instincts, and it was difficult to obey his orders 100%. Execution and its domineering power has completely disappeared. Noah had expected this. Emotion is the root of biological behavior. After losing emotion, living things become zombies. But this is also the result Noah wants. I saw him take out a tarot card, and the card on it was the Paper of Wands from the Minor Arcana deck. The root of the heart, the crystallization of illusion, attendant of the scepter, I give it to you. The card was placed on Brian's chest and heart, and in an instant the golden flame cloud pattern on the card began to spread all over Brian's body. Brian didn't resist at all, and was soon covered in golden flame cloud patterns, turning into a golden cocoon. Then the golden cocoon began to fade away, and he still looked like Brian, but his eyes became lively. After a while, Brian knelt down on one knee. Master, your loyal servant Brian salutes you. Do you have all of Brian's memories? Yes, Master. Can I use Haki? Okay. As soon as he finished speaking, Brian activated the Haki of Knowledge and the Haki of Arms. Where's the fruit ability? You can do the same. Brian's body expanded and turned into a half-animal form, the ocelot form of the cat fruit. Noah thought, return. Brian's body turned into a golden light and then condensed into a card. However, at this time, the pattern on the card had changed from its previous appearance to that of Brian, and there was an ocelot lying behind him. The name also became Squire of Wands, Brian. He called the products of this transformation apostles. Its essence is to cut off the prefrontal lobe of a normal person to completely lose their emotions, and then use the spirit of the tarot cards as an emotional substitute for the person being transformed, thereby creating an apostle who obeys his orders. The step of removing the prefrontal lobe is essential. The reason is that the instinctive will of the card spirit, as the fruit of the cards, is divided into 22 major arcana cards and 56 minor arcana cards, resulting in very little instinctive will stored in them, which is not enough to suppress people with normal emotions. Normal people. Therefore, normal people must be made to lose their emotions before they can be used as raw materials for making apostles. In addition, Noah also tested the effect of Conqueror's Haki on the apostles. The result is that the effect is not great, because the core of the apostle's soul is a combination of a broken human soul plus a card spirit plus a devil fruit. Especially due to the compatibility of the card spirit and the devil fruit, it can use part of the instinctive will of the devil fruit to strengthen and improve its resistance to Conqueror's Haki. Of course, this also has something to do with Noah's will. As the master of cards, Noah's willpower and thoughts will affect the willpower of the card apostle. If the card master is timid and afraid of getting into trouble, then the card apostle will also be timid and afraid of getting into trouble. Conqueror's Haki works best on people with weak willpower. With the birth of the first card apostle, Noah has clearly understood the awakening method of the card fruit. As long as he creates the apostles corresponding to the 22 major arcana cards and 56 minor arcana cards, the card fruits will naturally awaken. However, it is very difficult to create all the corresponding apostles of the tarot cards. Because apostles cannot use random raw materials, devil fruit users are the best materials, and they also have to select suitable devil fruits, which further increases the difficulty. But if it is really possible to create a complete set of tarot apostles, then Noah's strength will reach an unprecedented height. End of chapter. Chapter 27. According to the law, Noah soon transformed Barton into a tarot apostle. However, Barton does not belong to the minor arcana deck, but to the major arcana deck. The card is Devil, Pan Button, as the raw materials for making card apostles. In the apostles they create, they are not random, but have their inherent origins. The reason why Brian was used to make the Page of Wands is because the devil fruit in his body is an ocelot. The Page of Wands represents a naughty little boy with a changeable and passionate personality, which has a similar affinity with the ocelot. Similarly, the exchange fruit in Barton's body has a similar affinity to the demon Pan. Using the exchange fruit to gain power is just like the devil's transaction to deceive mortals. Looking at Barton in front of him, Noah showed a trace of satisfaction in his eyes. After several years of planning, Barton has gained tremendous vitality, but of course this vitality cannot significantly increase his lifespan. Human lifespan is determined by genes. Barton gained the vitality of thousands of people, but his lifespan limit was only raised to 200 years and could not be increased anymore. The fundamental reason is that 200 years is the life limit of the human species. This is like a bottle, and the vitality is the water in the bottle. No matter how much water there is, it cannot change the capacity of the bottle. And as time goes by, the bottle will break and the water it can hold will become less and less. To change the upper limit of the bottle, you must change your own genes, and this is something that can only be done by surgical fruits. Of course, even so, the vitality in Barton's body is also a huge wealth. The vitality can replace one's own vitality consumption during the cultivation process, and can also be used for rapid treatment. Otherwise, why did Patton go from a loser who couldn't stop Sakaski's punch to an elite lieutenant general level master in about 5 years? You must know that Barton was already 43 years old at this time, and it was less than 8 years before he got the fruit of the exchange. There are other applications for exchanging fruits, some of which even Lu Dan and other subordinates are not aware of. For example, if a traitor dies, the ability user can not only obtain part of the other party's organs and vitality, but even the memory. This is also the reason why Barton knows the 8 punches, 6 marine styles, domineering, and life return. It was through the ability to exchange fruits that he secretly killed a 8 treasure Navy cadre and 2 fallen Marine officers to obtain these training methods. Barton, sell me your life force. Okay, master. You need to pay me 1 silver coin. As Noah handed Barton a silver coin. In an instant, a life force flowed out of Barton's body and then rushed into Noah's body. The hidden wounds and fatigue all over his body were like nectar after a long drought. The hidden wounds began to repair themselves little by little, and the fatigue quickly subsided. This vitality is equivalent to about 10 years of life of an ordinary person. Noah seemed to feel that every cell in his body was cheering for joy. After all, The arduous training before was not as good as the inheritance of those orthodox forces. Unknowingly, there were many hidden injuries on his body. In fact, this is also a common problem among many nouveau riche forces. Why can marine and world governments suppress the sea for 800 years? It is because of its strong foundation and inheritance. For example, Whitebeard was indeed terrifyingly strong when he was young. However, the hidden damage caused by the shock fruit caused his strength to plummet when he was old. If Whitebeard was from marine or world government, then his body would definitely receive better maintenance, as well as a variety of systematic physical skills, medical treatment, and secret treasures, which could at least keep him at his peak for more than 10 years. Now Noah and others can finally practice unscrupulously by using the vitality accumulated in Barton's body. But cultivation is something that comes later. There is one most important thing to do now. He called everyone together. After everyone took their seats, Noah revealed his next plan. Noah's plan is very simple, that is, to continue Barton's plan to usurp the country. As long as some of the details are modified, this plan can be taken over by Noah. After all, Barton is now the guardian hero of the Rum Kingdom. The fake king has something to do with it, and General Secretary Powell has also become a prisoner of Noah. Originally, Barton planned to have someone pretend to be a pirate, raid the fake king who was about to go to marry Joa for a meeting, and then take the throne himself. Unfortunately, Noah noticed a problem after reading this plan. The first problem is that the person responsible for escorting the fake king to Marigioa is Donghi Marine, a bad guy who might meet Garp who is on his way home to visit relatives. The second question is, although the fake king is fake, other people don't know about it. Once the other party contacts the world government through the phone bug during the pirate raid, Barton's plan will inevitably fail, and it may even become a conspiracy for others. Wedding clothes. The third question is, although the fake king is infamous and Barton has the blessing of a hero's name, there are other nobles in the Rum Kingdom, and they are not willing to see an outsider become the new king. Therefore, killing the false king must be a bad idea. Noah's plan was very simple. Soon the group took action immediately. In the palace, although the fake king often indulges in debauchery, in fact, he always has a phone bug ready in his sleeve, specifically for the purpose of dying together. Unfortunately, he met Noah who didn't play by the rules. With the help of Barton's secret inside the palace, Lilith took Alii and quietly sneaked into the toilet in the fake king's room by digging a hole in the ground. As soon as the fake king entered the toilet, he was stunned by Lilith before he could react. The next moment, brought the fake king to the laboratory in the underground cave. Noah and joined forces and cut off each other's frontal lobe without hesitation, and then woke the other up. "Uncle, are you ready?" Uncle Joseph nodded. "Noah, I'm ready." "Barton, let's start?" "Let's fight quickly." Barton looked at the fake king with dull eyes, and then said, "Give me your face, and I will give you your original face." "Okay." The fake king agreed without hesitation. Exchange successful. In an instant, Barton unfolded the exchange scale in his hand. The fake king's face changed back to its original appearance, and Barton got the fake king's face. Barton then swapped the fake king's face with Uncle Joseph's. Uncle Joseph's body shape is similar to that of the false king, but he is 27 centimeters taller. If it were before, Uncle Joseph really couldn't pretend to be the other party, but now he can, because Barton not only exchanged the face of the fake king to Uncle Joseph, but also returned the life under his own control to Uncle Joseph. This special memory exchange will not make Barton lose the ability to return life. However, Barton was very wary of his subordinates before, so he naturally did not use this ability on his subordinates. Uncle Joseph passed through life and adjusted his body, and soon he became exactly like the fake king. The next thing is to exchange the false king's memory and then give it to Uncle Joseph. End of chapter. Chapter 28. With the memory of the false king, Uncle Joseph's disguise can be almost flawless. Of course, Noah and others still need to solve the last hidden danger. The fake king disguised by Uncle Joseph passed through Ar's wormhole and returned to the toilet in the bedroom, and only about 18 minutes had passed. In some hidden corners of the bedroom, several customized versions of the phone bugs were working silently. Mackerel Town in Rum Kingdom. Inside a hidden private house, there are unique underground facilities. At this time, in this underground facility, a middle-aged man with a special ring collar on his neck looked at the screen fed back by the phone bug with sleepy eyes. The scene in the picture is clearly the bedroom of the fake king. Moreover, on the middle-aged man's table, there is a glass bottle with a piece of paper inside. Suddenly, a tiny wormhole opened inside the underground monitoring room, and a colorless and odorless gas penetrated from the opposite side of the wormhole. The middle-aged man's eyelids became heavier and heavier, and he fell on the table in a moment. Then the wormhole expanded, and Alii and Lilith walked over from the opposite side of the wormhole. Alii picked up the glass bottle on the table with great interest. Is this life paper? That fake really has some brains. He actually used a slave to monitor himself and left a life sheet. He is obviously very wary of Barton. Lilith found another image phone bug from the middle-aged slave. Turn on the play button, and the image phone bug will project the picture on the wall. The fake king in the picture directly revealed the existence of Barton and the money pirates, and that he was a puppet supported by Barton. Obviously, this matter was a hidden danger that Barton had not anticipated. If it goes according to the original plan, once the false king's life paper is burned, the slave will hand over the phone bug to the Morgans. As for how to ensure that the slave would be obedient, the fake king used both soft and hard tactics. On the one hand, he promised the slave that once he died, he would give the slave a large sum of money. At the same time, the fake king only knew the password to activate the collar bomb. When the fake king died, the slave would be free. But in order to prevent slaves from doing things without taking money, the fake king also left a letter and the slave's life certificate in the palace treasury. The content of the letter was very simple. It was to tell Barton that he had left a phone bug. In other words, once Barton reads this letter, the fate of the slave can be imagined. Moreover, the fake king arranged not just one, but 3 monitoring slaves, as long as one of them handed over the phone bug to Morgans. The 3 slaves knew each other's existence, but they did not know each other's location and appearance. In this way, a chain of suspicion is formed. In addition, the fake king has always been wary of Barton's exchange fruits, and has never reached an exchange contract with Barton again. Even if Barton kills the other party, he cannot obtain the fake king's memory. It's a pity that the fake king's organs were exhausted, but he met Noah and was immediately kicked out of the cauldron. Lilith and Rei quickly raided the secret stronghold of the 3 slaves and destroyed all the phone bugs and life papers. As for the 3 slaves, Noah also used Barton's exchange fruits to exchange their vitality with a silver coin. Because these 3 guys were pirates before becoming slaves, he would naturally not show mercy. If they are civilians with no evil deeds, Noah will temporarily seal them in the card, and then absorb them as peripheral members of the family through guidance and education. After all hidden dangers have been dealt with, in the name of the king, Uncle Joseph ordered all the nobles in the country to hold a farewell party in Sugarcane Town. Because there are less than 10 days left before the arrival of the Marine Escort Fleet. 3 days later, in the Honey Palace in Cane Sugar Town, Joseph and a group of nobles acted in vain. After 3 rounds of drinking, Joseph sneered in his heart, let's go on the road together later. Suddenly, a group of misdemeanor Madara's disciplinary knights rushed into the palace. What are you doing? A noble lady wearing black pearls scolded the knight who rushed in harshly. The next moment, her head rolled several times on the floor. Oh, hole. Are you going to rebel? Joseph immediately entered the state and roared in panic. Ha ha ha, Your Majesty the King, long time no see. Noah, who changed his body shape through the return of life and had Powell's big face, looked like a successful villain. Powell, are you? This king treats you well. Why do you do this to me? Joseph howled with emotion. Ha ha ha, it's so funny. Do you really think you are the wise king of the Rum Kingdom? No, right? Do you know why? Because you have now become a tyrant despised by all people. Joseph looked in disbelief. Why? Why is this happening? This is impossible. My dear king, I will make it clear to you that I ordered the collection in your name. Noah told the story in Powell's tone. Everyone present was stunned. Ha ha ha, are you very shocked? I have been preparing for this moment for 3 years, and now you can go die. As soon as he finished speaking, the disciplinary knights and Lilith who were hiding in the dark went straight to kill the nobles who had done bad things. Help! Don't kill me, Mr. Powell. I am willing to surrender. Yes, I am also willing to surrender. Noah looked at everyone with a sneer. Do you think I am a fool? Since I told you my plan, I have no intention of letting you leave here alive. Kill me. At this time, Joseph was taking a few servants loyal to the royal family, plus a few kind-hearted little nobles who deliberately missed it, using a room as a fortress to fight against the incoming disciplinary knights. At this moment, Barton broke open the palace door. Boom. Powell, you rebellious traitor. Go to hell. Nanny, why are you here? You think you can kill me by colluding with pirates to lure me out to sea? Powell, today is the day you die. Noah, pretending to be Powell, suddenly swelled up and then struggled with Barton. The two of them were stalling for time, until the nobles who had done bad things in Madara were all killed, and then Noah pretended to be knocked down and lay on the ground, pretending to be dead. Barton immediately unleashed his kamui and slaughtered all the punishment knights on the scene. The remaining dozen nobles were all of good character. They breathed a sigh of relief at this time, but they looked at Barton with something strange. After all, these nobles are not fools. They naturally saw that Barton was cheating on the match just now and deliberately allowed Powell's disciplinary knights to massacre those nobles who had done bad things. Madara's nobles. Sure enough, as Barton took out the video phone bug hidden in the Honey Palace, the remaining dozen nobles knew that all this was Barton's plan. However, when they saw the happy look on the king's face and Barton's very respectful attitude towards him, they suddenly felt a turmoil in their hearts towards this king who usually only played, drank, and had fun. Soon, the king took the video phone bug provided by Barton, plus the self-incrimination video he recorded, and the decree to exempt taxes for 1 year, provide relief for work, and crack down on underground loan sharks, and had people announce it in every town in the country. The public sentiment of the entire Rum Kingdom was suddenly reversed. Powell became the object of contempt for everyone, while our King Rum 8, Joseph, and the commander of Patton's army became the great savior. At this point, the entire Rum Kingdom completely fell into the hands of the Noah family. End of Chapter 29. Sugartown in Rum Kingdom. At this time, local residents spontaneously held various celebration activities. The marine escort fleet that had just arrived from the Wiko Kingdom and the dozen or so kings accompanying them were all surprised when they saw the port decorated with lights. Garp, who was standing on the deck eating donuts, glanced towards the port without noticing anything unusual. Adjutant Bogart on the side took out a copy of the intelligence that Marine had just received and whispered, 3 days ago, a serious civil strife occurred in the Kingdom of Rum. The general minister colluded with pirates and massacred many nobles in Sugarcane Town at the time, and planned to kill King Rum 8. After listening to Bogart's explanation, Garp looked at Rum 8, who was at the dock. Joseph on the dock seemed to have also seen Garp, but he was very calm and did not think that he would be seen through by Garp. After all, there are only a few who can see people's hearts like the Red Earl. And people with this kind of special knowledge and domineering power will most likely not be loyal to the world government. What's more, Joseph has Eret's special gem coordinates on his body. In case of an emergency, he can also ask Alec to transfer him. Not bad. This king has some strength. Bogart nodded. According to intelligence, the opponent is a fruit-powered person, and his ability is the form of an animal-type silverback gorilla. Garp poured the remaining donuts into his mouth and said with a smile while chewing the donuts, "Ha ha ha. Whatever. We just need to send these kings and heavenly gold to Mary Jo, that's it." At the same time, in a restaurant in the port, Noah and others were also dining, but they were in an exclusive box, which had a clear view of the port. He didn't step up to the plate with Garp's ideas, because the two sides are not the same person at all. Garp has no value in winning over the Noah family. Just based on his position in the Valley of Gods incident, you can know the justice of the other party, which is a joke. If it was just like this, then Noah wouldn't despise the other party too much. For example, Sakaski, Noah just feels that he has a different position from the other party, but Noah will not despise the other party, because Sakaski is the loyal dog of the world government. At this point, Sakaski has always implemented his beliefs. However, Garp is simply a two-faced person. He said that he couldn't stand the celestial dragons, and he protected the celestial dragons of the Valley of Gods. He was said to be loyal to the world government, and he secretly raised Roger's son. His son was also the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and his grandson became a great pirate. In addition, during the South Blue Baby incident, Garp showed extremely double standards. For the sake of Roger's son, he sat back and watched South Blue's baby be slaughtered by the world government. So in essence, what is the difference between him and the world government and the celestial dragons? Such a person is a typical thought of an aristocratic family. As long as it doesn't involve the people he cares about, he almost doesn't care at all and can only shout a few slogans. If he is truly loyal to the world government, he should carry out his loyalty to the end and directly report the existence of Roger's wife and son. If he really despises the celestial dragons, he should just sit back and do nothing in the Valley of the Gods, or help Rox directly. As a result, he did the opposite every time. Then he fought on the top again, showing a grief-stricken posture. Isn't this all his own fault? From the moment he secretly adopted Ace, he should have known that Ace was taboo from the world government, and there were only two ways he could go. Either don't tell Ace's identity, and then arrange for the other person to become an ordinary person. Either tell Ace his identity, retire immediately, leave Marine, and face everything in the future with Ace. As a result, he chose a very wise approach. He not only informed Ace of his life experience, but also continued to stay in Marine. In the end, Ace was executed, and he was incompetent and furious there. Did Sakazuki make a mistake in fighting the war? The answer is no. Noah has no intention of wooing the Garp family. One is double-standard double-dealing. One is a weak naivete. One is a die-hard liberal. As long as the 5 elders don't have Alzheimer's disease, the monkey family won't survive more than 3 episodes. If we rely on people like this to save the world, we might as well let Buggy be one piece. At least Buggy was a real pirate from beginning to end. It is not terrible for a person to do many evil things. The terrible thing is to do evil without knowing it. The world is not black and white, but a delicate gray, but most people don't like black disguised as white. Noah's goal from beginning to end is to overthrow the rule of the celestial dragons and build a brand new world, rather than patching things up within the old framework. With the initial accumulation of strength, he has begun to practice. Taking over the Rum Kingdom is just the beginning. The sun sets in the port of Cane Sugar Town. The Marine escort fleet moved further and further into the distance under the setting sun. After Noah and his party watched Uncle Joseph leave, they began to secretly integrate the entire Kingdom of Rum. With Barton as a chess piece on the surface and the decree left by Rum 8, the Noah family opened an underground base in the northeast of Rum Island and asked Ali to leave a spatial coordinate point in the base. Then the troops divided into 2 groups. Along the way were R, Vic, and Anthony. They were sent to the Kingdom of Wiko to find the sonic fruit in the Kingdom of Wiko. Noah and others stayed in the Rum Kingdom and continued to strengthen their control over the Rum Kingdom. In particular, Mary, who had emotional perception, knowledge, and color, was almost an indispensable member in the process of expanding the family's personnel. Many people with ulterior motives cannot escape Mary's perception. This greatly ensures the loyalty and purity of the core members of Noah's family. Even the Rum Kingdom army controlled in the name of Patton has spies from many forces within it. Among these spies, there are people from the CP organization, people from domestic nobles, and even people from the Revolutionary Army, pirates, and underground forces. Without Mary, it would be 100% difficult to find these hidden spies. Those confirmed spies were secretly assigned to work in Cane Sugar Town and Rum City, while Bamboo Cane Town and Mackerel Town were purified to facilitate the secret development of the Noah family in these 2 towns. The more than 200 billion Baileys that Barton had secretly hidden before were also taken over by the Noah family. The money was not returned to Rum's victims. After all, this kind of favor was a one-time benefit. It not only made those civilians dependent, but also easily led to the consequences of turning against each other. It is better to use this money to start a large-scale construction project of providing relief for work. Of course, for those who have lost the ability to work, they will be directly protected through the relief homes. At this time, the internal changes in the Rum Kingdom did not attract much attention. This is also one of Noah's strategies. He will not openly rebel before he has enough strength. Chapter 30. The Southwest Sea area is 355 kilometers away from the Kingdom of Rum. An armed merchant ship, flying the flag of Rum Commercial Company, was sailing quickly towards the Kingdom of Oikit. Suddenly, on a black desert island not far away, a pillar of fire shot into the sky. Boom. Anthony, who was on the observation deck of the armed merchant ship, saw this scene, and his face turned extremely ugly. He immediately sounded the alarm. Vic and R, who were resting in the cabin, came to the deck immediately. They saw the panicked crew and the terrifying pillar of fire in the distance. Undersea volcano erupts? What to do? Anthony jumped down from the observation deck and immediately ordered, "Ali, you immediately open the wormhole in the cab and teleport everyone back to the secret port of Mackerel Town. Vic, please call all crew members to the bridge immediately." Ali ran towards the cab and clasped his hands together. The wormhole is open. After a while, a dozen crew members, led by Vic, quickly came to the cab, and then filed into the wormhole. Just 10 seconds after everyone left the merchant ship, a large meteor shower of hot lava fell from the sky. However, this was just the appetizer, because soon a tsunami hundreds of meters high swept over and spread rapidly in all directions. Anthony and others, who had just returned to Mackerel Town, immediately reported the incident to Noah. After hearing this, Noah immediately summoned all members in the Rum Kingdom, while R and Lilith acted as a monitoring team and immediately went to monitor the incoming tsunami. The distance of 355 kilometers means that when the tsunami reaches the waters near the Kingdom of Rum, Its power is estimated to be more than half. The southwest of Rum Island is a hilly area with an altitude of only about 20 to 80 meters, and its coastal areas cannot withstand a tsunami attack of more than 50 meters. Noah immediately arranged for Barton to take people to relocate the residents along the southwest coast. At the same time, he also received a phone bug report from Lilith and knew that the tsunami was very fast and was currently less than 200 kilometers away from Rum Island. It was estimated that the tsunami would reach Rum Island in less than an hour. He didn't sit still. The first time he took Ajay and Lillian, together with the returning R, was teleported through the wormhole to a small island about 80 kilometers away from Rum Island. This island is very small, covering an area of less than tens of thousands square meters. The reason why they came to this small island is because this small island is on the midline between the tsunami and Rum Island. Noah plans to weaken the tsunami as much as possible here. Ajay, use graphite to build a V-shaped wave dike. Yes, brother Noah. Ajay inserted his hands into the soil under his feet, and soon a huge V-shaped graphite embankment emerged from the ground, with its sharp angle facing the direction of the tsunami. This kind of graphite creation is a temporary thing. Once the Esper's physical strength cannot support it, or the Esper becomes unconscious, these creations will revert to the previous material. Those permanent graphites were not essentially created by Ajay using the fruit's ability, but were synthesized by using the fruit's ability to extract free carbon elements from the surrounding environment. If the graphite fruit can create graphite out of thin air, or transform other non-carbon elements into graphite, then its power will definitely be no less than a star-destroying existence. Even if the devil fruit enters the awakened state, there is no way to permanently create elements and transform elemental forms out of thin air. Take Doflamingo's thread fruit, for example. After he enters the awakening state of the fruit, the surrounding materials will become thread-like, but this change is only temporary. Once Doflamingo no longer uses physical strength to maintain, or falls into a coma, the surrounding thread-like matter will soon return to its original state. At this time, the V-shaped embankment on the island is expanding crazily and Yamato is getting taller. At the same time, Lillian's whole body turned into flame form. However, Lillian's flame form was different from the orange-red color of previous burning fruit users, but blue-white. The sun has no mercy. The blue-white fireball suddenly expanded with Lillian as the core, and its radius expanded by hundreds of meters in an instant. Then the blue and white fireball hit the sea from mid-air, sizzling. In an instant, the edge of the fireball came into contact with the sea surface, and the seawater immediately boiled, reaching an extreme temperature of 2,830 degrees Celsius. This is the power of simulated hydrogen and oxygen combustion. The fireball hit the central area of the sea, and the boiling seawater not only turned into water vapor, but even part of the water was split into hydrogen and oxygen, further intensifying the power of the flames. In less than 10 minutes, a hole with an area of more than 1 kilometer appeared on the sea in front of the island. Lillian was standing on the glassy dry sea bed at this time, panting heavily. It was obvious that this move was a huge burden for her at such a young age. But Lillian's mission was completed at this time. Because the huge hole in front of us is enough to cause a small tsunami, Lillian turned into a flame man again, left the dry seabed, and appeared behind the island's dam. Compared with Lillian's powerful force that can produce miracles, Noah's operation is more technical. He threw dozens of blank cards into the seabed in an arrangement and combination, and then instantly sealed the surrounding seawater into the blank cards. In an instant, a series of hollow areas appeared on the sea. The seawater will quickly fill these holes, but the sudden appearance of the holes will cause the surrounding sea level to drop, resulting in a subsident tsunami. These depression-type tsunamis spread in all directions. Although their power is not great, they can only set off tsunamis of a few meters at most, but they cannot withstand their dense numbers. Waves of small tsunamis spread in all directions. Soon we encountered a tsunami caused by a volcanic eruption. Although the tsunamis generated by submarine volcanoes pushed these small tsunamis flat, their power was still weakened a little bit. When the tsunami came near the island, Noah stood on the levee that was more than 50 meters high and visually inspected it for a moment. At this time, the height of the tsunami in this section was only about 50 meters. He immediately threw the previously sealed seawater card into the air. Liberation. Torrent. Tens of millions of cubic meters of seawater fell from the sky and hit the tsunami waves. Lillian, who had been resting for a while, immediately turned into a mobile fort. The roar of the fire dragon. Dragons of flames rushed towards the tsunami ahead. Continuous weakening caused the height of the tsunami to drop to less than 20 meters when it hit the embankment, causing a large hole to be cut by the embankment. After completing this action to block the tsunami, Noah looked at the rough sea in front of him. His conqueror's domineering power seemed to have been sublimated, and his courage became even more powerful. Yamato solidified. When the tsunami came near Rum Island, its power was no longer fearful. At this stage, as long as it does not touch the bottom line of the world government and pays a sufficient amount of heavenly gold every year, the world government will not easily attack the law-abiding member countries in the face of the increasingly unstable sea and the big pirate group in the New World. End of chapter. Although there were still waves of more than 10 meters, residents on the south blue coast of Rum Island had already evacuated, and naturally there were no large-scale casualties. As for other places affected by the tsunami, you can only hope for your own good. After all, Noah's strength at this time is not enough to completely eliminate such a huge tsunami. The natural power of this blue planet is indeed an irresistible terror for ordinary people. End of chapter. Chapter 31. January 7th, 1504 in the Haiyuan calendar. After the twists and turns of the tsunami, Vic and Anthony continued to the kingdom of Wiko. Noah asked Lilith to take Lillian, and the two went to the sea where the volcano erupted before. There was naturally a reason why the two women were allowed to go to the sea area where the volcano erupted. At this time, a piece of land with a radius of several kilometers appeared at the location where the submarine volcano erupted. These lands were obviously formed by the volcanic eruption. In addition to the solidified obsidian and volcanic rocks, there is also a lot of uncooled and solidified magma in the center. This molten magma continues to flow in all directions from the eruption vent, and from time to time, white mist of hot water vapor emerges. A flame fell from the sky, and then turned into a girl wearing a gothic dress, and it was Lillian. Lilith, who gently flapped her wings, looked at her sister standing on the edge of the crater, with some worry on her face. Although Lillian has exited the elemental mode, it does not mean that the magma flowing from the crater can threaten her. After all, she was instilled with a lot of scientific knowledge by Noah, as well as various directions for the development of devil fruits. The intensity of the burning fruit in her body has surpassed that of previous burning fruit ability users. Why does the Xiao fruit look so crotch-stretching on Ace? The answer lies with Ace. If you expect an illiterate person to deeply develop Xiao fruit, it is no less than hoping to make a fortune by buying lottery tickets. Garp throws Ace to the bandit Dayton to raise him. Ace can read and rely on the proprietress of the bar in Windmill Village to teach him. In this environment, he can read and learn some common sense of life, which is basically the result of the proprietress's seriousness and responsibility. Although Noah is not a scientist, as a college graduate living in the era of the information explosion, he is still a science student, so he still knows some scientific knowledge. The development direction of the burning fruit is not on the flame, but on the word burning. To burn means to burn. Combustion is the process of matter entering plasma form. The core of the Xiao fruit is to simulate the combustion of substances. When ordinary fuel burns in the air, the temperature is 600 to 700 degrees Celsius. This is also the reason why the temperature of Ace's Xiao fruit cannot go up. So how to increase the combustion temperature? The answer is naturally to choose more suitable fuels and oxidizers. The combustion substances that Lillian simulated at this time were pure oxygen and hydrogen. The combination of the two raised the combustion temperature to a height of 2,830 degrees Celsius. The magma in front of her was only over 1,000 degrees Celsius. Not only could it not harm Lillian, but it would be burned back by Lillian's flames. Of course, Lillian was not trying to show off that her flame temperature could burn magma, but to enter the magma. Lillian, who re-entered elemental mode, plunged into the magma lake in the crater. After entering the magma, she did not feel any discomfort. Instead, she felt her body was warm and she felt like she was back home. Lillian did not stay on the surface of the magma lake. Instead, after estimating her physical strength, she quickly drilled deeper into the ground. As the depth continued to increase, she felt that the temperature of the surrounding magma was slowly increasing. It wasn't until the layer reached 2,830 degrees Celsius that Lillian felt the heat, and then she began to use her special domineering power. That's right, Lillian also has her own unique sense of domineering power. Originally, her domineering talent was the same as Lilith's, which was also mediocre. But after eating the Xiao fruit, she followed Noah's tips and combined the fruit's ability with the Haki of Wisdom and Color, and developed a type of Haki of Wisdom and Color that is unique to Lillian, heat-sensing wisdom and color. She can see the temperature of all substances, and the changes in surrounding temperature will also be captured by her sight. At this time, She is using this kind of knowledge to carefully sense the heat energy deep in the magma and the source of this heat energy. Soon Lillian noticed that there were some special substances in the surrounding magma. These substances continuously released heat and continued to heat the surrounding magma and water vapor. Is this the radioactive substance that Brother Noah was talking about? The energy generated by the decay of elements can actually release such a huge amount of energy. Lillian tried to simulate the process of elemental decay to further transform her fruit abilities. It's a pity that even though she spent most of her energy, she still couldn't simulate any sign of elemental decay. Lillian, who didn't get what she wanted, could only quickly return to the ground. Lillian rushed out of the crater again and saw her sister who had been waiting for a long time. Lillian, are you okay? Lillian shook her head. It's okay. I am in the elemental state, and radioactive substances cannot harm me. It's just that this time I didn't successfully simulate elemental decay. Don't mess around. Brother Noah has reminded you that your physical fitness is not strong enough to support the elemental decay mode. Lillian has a deep understanding of this. Her simulation in the depths of magma just now seemed to have encountered a high wall. Of course, regarding this situation, Noah had actually warned Lillian not to have too high hopes. The reason why there was no objection to Lillian entering the depths of the magma was mainly because he wanted her to be exposed to the conditions of the magma in advance and the radioactive substances hidden in the nature of the magma. Obviously, Sakaski has not developed the rock berries to a fully awakened state. If he reaches a fully awakened state, he can use radioactive attacks, and the upper temperature limit will exceed 3,000 degrees Celsius. The upper limit of burning fruit is actually the sun mode. This is the development route planned by Noah for Lillian. Stage 1. The limit of compound combustion, 4,990 degrees Celsius. The second stage. Elemental decay, a period of awakening. The third stage. Elemental fission, second stage awakening. The fourth stage. Elemental fusion, full awakening. If Lillian can achieve full awakening, she will become a brand new sun. However, this idea is still a little too far away for Lillian at present. Now she has not even reached the combustion temperature limit of the compound, let alone entered the element decay mode. Lillian did not give up immediately, but continued to stay in the crater for more than half a month. During this period, she would dive deep into the magma every day and carefully sense the decay process of elements in the magma. Although she did not successfully simulate the elemental decay mode, she still gained a lot of insights and gains. For example, she initially conceived the Flame God mode, which is a special mode created by using simulated solid fuel as the skeleton and simulated liquid fuel as the muscles. After entering the Flame God mode, Lillian can transform into a huge Flame God giant or form a Flame God exoskeleton. In this mode, Lillian can even swim and walk directly in the sea. Another example, she conceived the method of steaming dragon series by observing water vapor deep in the ground. Compared with direct fire attacks, the steaming dragon series uses high-pressure and high-temperature water vapor to kill enemies. Lillian found it difficult to continue to understand the magma, so she decided to return to the Rum Kingdom. Just when Lillian and Lilith returned to the Rum Kingdom, Vic, and Anthony finally arrived at the Wiko Kingdom. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. End of chapter. Chapter 32. January 23rd. 1504 in the Haiyuan calendar. East China Sea, Southern Sea Area. Kingdom of Wiko. The damage caused to this country during the pirate attack 2 years ago is still affecting this land. In the northeastern part of the island country, at the trading port called Port March, merchant ships flying the flag of the Rum Trading Company were slowly moored in the port's berthing area. The security officer at the port led a dozen soldiers to guard the armed merchant ships. However, after Anthony presented the official documents of the Kingdom of Rum, the sheriff relaxed a little, but still asked to board the ship for inspection. Anthony didn't have any objections. After all, the purpose of their visit to the Kingdom of Oikit this time was to find devil fruit, and trade was just an excuse. Soon Anthony took care of the port affairs. That night, in a room on the third floor of a hotel in the port, Anthony, and Vic each talked about today's harvest. According to Brothers' divination, the sonic fruit is within the Kingdom of Oikit, but the area is still too large. Anthony frowned and looked at the map on the table. This map is the official map of the Kingdom of Wiko. The entire Kingdom of Wiko is not just one island, but consists of one main island, Wiko Island, and 8 small inhabited islands, plus 42 uninhabited islands, a large archipelago composed of human islands. The area of Wiko Island alone reaches more than 3,000 square kilometers, which brings great difficulty to everyone's search work. Alii thought for a moment and then made a suggestion. According to the divination of the eldest brother, this fruit should not have been eaten by anyone, which means that it is very likely that this fruit has not been discovered by anyone, so our target should give priority to those that no one has deserted island. However, Anthony shook his head. No, we should search for inhabited islands first. If the sonic fruit is on an inhabited island, the risk of being found or eaten will be very high. We must eliminate high-risk areas first. Ali reacted immediately. This is indeed possible. I agree to search for inhabited islands first. But there are more than 30 towns in the Wiko Kingdom. It will take a lot of time to check them one by one, right? Vic looked at the map, and one head and two were suddenly bigger. Anthony is confident. We can use our identity. In addition, there are many refugees in the Kingdom of Wiko, which has experienced pirate attacks. We can also use them to inquire about some local news. Early the next morning, Anthony hired dozens of local people in the name of underground businessmen, and then asked them to spread a message in the towns around the port. Soon word spread around Port March. Among the slums on the south side of the port, a young man with a big back and a pair of old glasses was shopping. As soon as he picked up a potato, he heard someone at the fruit stall next door talking to the boss about something. Luke, did you hear about that? The fruit stall owner who was wiping oranges looked puzzled. What's going on? You do not know? Old Jim, what do you know? Tell me. There are foreign businessmen in the port area who are buying all kinds of exotic flowers and plants, whether they are seedlings, seeds, or fruits. Real. Of course, you can find out by going to the port area and asking around. Exotic flowers and plants? How much is the purchase price? It seems like the starting point is 100,000 Baileys. The fruit stall owner's eyes lit up and he immediately continued to ask. There is a strange melon vine in my house. I don't know if the other party will keep it. Oh, do you want to sell? I do have an acquaintance who knows that businessman, but if the transaction is successful, I will ask for 1/10 of the introduction fee. The man rubbed his hands with a smile. The fruit stall owner was a little confused, but the man with glasses at the vegetable stall next door couldn't help but push up his glasses with the inside of his wrist, and there was a flash of thought in his eyes. After 3 days of fermentation, there were many people who had the idea to take action, and these people were led by underground intermediaries to secretly go to various trading points, where Ali and Vic came directly to inspect the goods in person. Although he did not acquire the devil fruit, Anthony did not let the two of them refuse anything. Instead, he selectively bought some rare flowers and plants. The gangster who was talking to the fruit stall owner before was contacting other people again. However, the gangster didn't know that he was being followed and was still working hard. Alii, who was looking at the goods, suddenly frowned. Vic also felt something strange. The two of them quietly exchanged a few words in secret, and then continued the inspection in front of them. Although Anthony had no hope of finding the sonic fruit in Port March, when luck came, no one could stop him. On the 6th day, after the secret acquisition operation began, Ali and Vic bought a devil fruit from the owner of a rural grocery store, but it was not the sonic fruit they were looking for, but an animal devil fruit. Ari casually teleported the fruit back to the secret base of Rum Kingdom. After Noah received the fruit, he identified it as a rattlesnake form of the snake fruit. Over the next 3 months, the three Anthonys kept traveling around the Wiko Kingdom until April 19th, when they successfully purchased the sonic fruit they had been longing for from a farmer on Beifong Island, a subsidiary of the Wiko Kingdom. As soon as he got the sonic fruit, Anthony ate the fruit immediately, because this fruit was arranged for him by Noah. After the sonic fruit was found, Anthony and his team immediately prepared to leave the Kingdom of Wicket and head to the waters north of the Organ Islands to look for the pulpy fruit. Just as the merchant ship was preparing to leave the port, the man hiding in the dark finally couldn't help the greed in his heart and quickly sneaked into the captain's cabin of the merchant ship under the cover of night. Looking at Anthony, who was sleeping soundly, a sharp, long-clawed weapon emerged from the man's hand and slashed towards Anthony's throat. However, the next moment, the man's eyes widened. The espada that he was so proud of was actually blocked by the neck and even caused a series of sparks from the friction. What kind of monster is this guy? It's not good. You must escape. The next second, before he could make a move, he felt dizzy and an indescribable nausea surged in his abdomen. Anthony turned on the light and looked quietly at the man with glasses lying on the ground twitching. It's courageous, but it's just a little overestimating one's capabilities. Vic pushed the door open, glanced at the bespectacled man on the ground, and shook his head in disappointment. I thought he was some kind of master, but I didn't expect it was a little kitten. How are you going to deal with this guy? Let Mary check it out. If there is no transformation value, let him return to nature. Anthony decided the other party's fate without caring. End of chapter. Chapter 33. Ali directly threw the attacker back to the secret base of the Rum Kingdom, and the three of them headed non-stop to the Dominican Islands on the north side of the Organ Islands. However, from the Kingdom of Wiko to the Dominican Islands, it spans almost the entire north and south of the East China Sea. The entire straight-line distance exceeds 2,400 kilometers. This will be a long journey. And at the same time, on the Rum Kingdom side, Joseph, who went to marry Joa for a meeting at the end of last year, also returned to the Rum Kingdom more than half a month ago. As soon as Joseph returned to the Kingdom of Rum, domestic reforms became more intense. Uncle Joseph, who had reservations about some of Noah's ideas before, became even more radical than Noah this time. The reason for his change was due to this trip to marry Joa. What Joseph saw and heard in Mary Joa made him understand the reality. This is a dark and bloody world, and the celestial dragons are definitely the embodiment of evil in this world. Even though Noah kept mentioning the heinous crimes of the celestial dragons before, Joseph still didn't have much intuitive feeling. This trip to marry Joa suddenly shocked his heart greatly. After returning, Uncle Joseph not only requested to speed up the transformation of Rum Kingdom, but also strengthened physical exercise. Noah did not object to Uncle Joseph's idea. If it were before, Uncle Joseph's physical potential was indeed not great. Even if he ate the silverback gorilla fruit, it was still impossible to reach the potential of Lieutenant General Marine. But it is different now. With the existence of Barton, the card apostle, he can continuously replenish his vitality. Even Uncle Joseph's life-threatening practice will not cause serious side effects and hidden injuries. Over time, almost 3 years have passed since Noah was reborn in this world. The members of the family have not only grown 3 years older, but their strength has also undergone earth-shaking changes. In the training ground of the secret base, 16-year-old Noah is 2.76 meters tall, with streamlined muscles all over his body, long black hair, and a simple ponytail. The card fruit was developed by him to be very powerful, and his 3-color domineering power was further improved. He also practiced a series of 6-type extended skills, including life return, and his strength was probably at the level of a quasi-general. The 33-year-old Uncle Joseph's height has not increased much, only reaching 2.1 meters. He has explosive muscles and a black-haired hedgehog. His ability is that of an animal-type silverback gorilla. He has 6 postures and life return. He is covered in armed colors, and his general knowledge and abilities are probably at the brigadier level of Marine headquarters. The 13-year-old cousin Joshua is taller than his predecessor, reaching 2.55 meters. He has streamlined muscles and a black-haired hedgehog head. He has no fruit ability yet, Grandmaster 6th form and armed color, and has a super wide area type of seeing color. The strength is probably at the level of Colonel in Marine headquarters. Lilith, 14 years old, is 2.13 meters tall. She is an animal-type monarch butterfly-capable person. She is a top-level observer and a junior armed person. She knows some of the 6 moves, is a top-level navigator and family steward, and her strength is about the level of a colonel in the Marine headquarters. 11-year-old Lillian, 1.82 meters tall, possesses the Logia burning fruit ability, is a top-level intellectual and junior armed person, is the family chef, and her strength is about the level of brigadier general at Marine headquarters. Green Marie, 12 years old, is 1.93 meters tall. She has the paramecia fruit ability. She is an emotional observer and a junior armed person. She knows some 6 forms and dagger skills. She is a family intelligence officer and examiner. Her strength is about the level of a colonel in the Marine headquarters. 15-year-old Anthony, 2.22 meters tall, possesses the ability of paramecia sonic fruit, is an intermediate armed person and an intermediate observer, knows all 6 styles and sword skills, is a family combatant and chief of staff, and is roughly at the level of a colonel at Marine headquarters. 14-year-old Tamani, 1.91 meters tall, currently has no fruit abilities, is a junior armed soldier and a junior witness, knows some 6 styles and gun skills, is a family fighter and painter, and his strength is about the level of a Marine headquarters major. 13-year-old Vic, 2.91 meters tall, has no fruit ability yet, has advanced armed color and elementary knowledge color, Grandmaster 6th form, and developed extended skills. He is a family fighter, and his strength is probably at the level of a colonel in the Marine headquarters. 13-year-old Alii, 2.11 meters tall, possesses the paramecia fruit ability, is an intermediate level observer and primary level armed person, knows marksmanship and some 6 forms, is a family sniper and strategic supporter, and is roughly at the level of a colonel at Marine headquarters. 10-year-old Ajay, 1.8 meters tall, possesses paramecia graphite fruit ability, is a junior witness and a junior armed warrior, knows some of the 6 moves, is a family boatman and engineer, and is roughly at the level of a colonel at the Marine headquarters. This is the current situation of the 11 core members of the Noah family. As for whether this strength is a bit exaggerated, not really. Because the deserter Wong KB under Garp rose from a weak pirate handyman to an elite lieutenant general in just 2 years. Even if the opponent is very talented, you can get guidance and training resources under Garp. But many members of the Noah family also have certain potential, especially after eating the devil fruit, and they have a lot of life force to squander. If they are not yet adults, their strength will not stop here. As for the accumulation of wealth and power, the Noah family has completed primitive accumulation and has now entered a period of rapid development. The new members secretly recruited in Rum Kingdom are still in the preliminary training stage. These new members are mainly orphans aged 6 to 12 years old, and there are more than 200 people in total. Although there are still some adult members within the Rum Kingdom, the number of which is approximately more than 2,000, but they are all peripheral members and do not even know the true situation of the family. With the more than 200 billion belly left by Barton in hand, plus the Rum Kingdom and Rum Trading Company with a steady stream of tax revenue, the family does not need to worry too much about funding issues for at least the next 10 years. Of course, although the Rum Kingdom is currently the family's largest industry, Noah has no idea of using this place as his base camp. On the one hand, because the Rum Kingdom is a member of the world government, many things cannot be too blatant and can only undergo limited transformation. On the other hand, the potential of Rum Kingdom is limited. After all, the land area here is limited, and there will be a big crisis of rising sea levels in the future. Therefore, Noah must find a more secluded and safe place as soon as possible as the family's base camp and retreat. He planned to rest in the Kingdom of Rum until June of 1504, that is, June of this year, and then he planned to take some members to the paradise of the Grand Line. With the strength of him and the other members, it is more than enough to enter the Grand Line. As long as they don't encounter multiple Admiral-level enemies, they won't be in any fatal danger on the Grand Route. On the sea, the force that can mobilize the combat power of more than 2 generals at once, besides the world government, is the Sea Emperor of the New World. At this stage, there is only one Emperor of the Sea, and that is Whitebeard. Kaido's Beast Pirates, Charlotte Lean's Big Mom Pirates, and the red-haired pirates who came from behind failed to reach the top, and New World is still in dire straits. Entering the Grand Line now is actually safer than Wong Luffy's time. As long as you don't enter the New World in a hurry, at least you don't have to worry about suddenly encountering the 4 Emperor's subordinate forces in the Paradise. End of chapter. Chapter 34. Noah just came back from training. Lilith took a document and came to his study. Brother Noah, this is Mary's interrogation report. After taking a sip of milk tea, Noah opened the document with a hint of surprise on his face. It's him. Noah didn't pay too much attention to the man with glasses thrown back by Alii before. Lilith and Mary were doing the receiving and reviewing work. The person on this report was none other than the Black Cat Crow who later made a big splash in the East China Sea and retreated bravely. He was only 15 years old at this time. He was born in the port of March in the kingdom of Uikat. His father was a small businessman. Both his parents died in a pirate attack 2 years ago. This led to the decline of the Crow family and had to move to slums. After Noah read the report, he found that although Crow had some gangster behavior at this time, he had not yet developed the ruthlessness of the pirate period, so he decided to give the other party a chance. It's not a big problem. We can arrange some transformation for him. What level? A-level potential. First arrange the treatment and training of B-level, temporarily observe its changes, and don't let it come into contact with the family's core secrets. If he doesn't change, then get rid of him. Although Noah fell in love with the other party's potential, but it does not mean that he will tolerate the other party going his own way. If the other party cannot reform, then he will deal with the other party without hesitation. Lilith nodded. I understand. Noah thought of another thing. By the way, Lilith, how is our secret recruitment of scientists going? It's not going well. There are indeed a few famous scientists in the East China Sea, but these people are all well-known figures in various kingdoms. We have only recruited a dozen second-rate researchers so far. Noah was not surprised by this. Those well-known scientists were either supported by the state or were arrogant. The Noah family who acted secretly did not have much appeal. It doesn't matter. A second-rate researcher will be a second-rate researcher. The worst he can do is serve as a teacher of basic science and train his own scientists for the family. Actually, we can secretly kidnap. Noah waved his hand. Okay, Lilith, although we are in the dark, One day we will stand under the sun, and some bottom lines can still be maintained. Okay. Lilith didn't feel that Noah was pedantic, because some things really needed to have a bottom line. And this was the man worth following her throughout her life. In fact, Noah is unwilling to do this because the essence of Conqueror's power is the embodiment of one's courage. The Noah family is now in a stage of secret development, but it does not mean that there is no bottom line. For example, Moria and Crocodile, who have the potential of conquerors, have been operating in the dark for too long, and their styles have become bottomless and deviated from their original intentions. Not only has Conquerors not awakened, but also the weapon color and knowledge color have continued to change. Degradation. If a person deviates from his original intention, his will be shaken, and his domineering energy will stagnate, or even degenerate and disappear. Noah has never considered himself a person from the dark world. His goal has always been to overthrow the world government and change this sad and desperate world. In the Rapids Bay on the north side of the town of Mackerel in Rum Kingdom, this is one of the secret training camps set up by the Noah family. Crow, who had just been released from the cell in the secret base, was sent here after changing into a new set of clothes. The person in charge of the Riptide Bay training camp is Noah's apostle, Catclaw Brian. This training camp is also an exclusive camp specially used to inspect some of the undecided personnel. After Brian read Crow's file, he did not want to target the other person's thoughts, but planned to secretly observe this person. After all, Noah's instructions included this person's evaluation. For such smart people, there is no need to use other methods, just observe secretly. After all, Crow doesn't know the existence of hockey. If the other party has any dangerous ideas, they will definitely not escape Brian's eyes. In the dormitory of the camp, Crow, who originally thought the situation was in danger, realized after listening to the explanations of several roommates that this was a secret training camp, a place dedicated to cultivating talents. Crow raised his glasses with the inside of his wrist, and thoughts flashed through his mind. But in the end, he decided to stay put. After all, the psychological shadow that Anthony brought to him was too serious. That kind of crushing powerlessness and the weird devil fruit ability made Crow feel powerless. It was a blessing to be able to save his life now. The next day, it was dawn. A rapid whistle sounded in the dormitory. Get up and gather. Quickly. Crow looked confused, but still hurriedly got dressed and followed several roommates to the playground. At this time, more than 50 people had gathered on the playground. Brian looked at everyone's performance with a smile. Run 20 laps around the playground to warm up. Let's get started. Everyone had already gotten used to it and started running. Crow could only go with the flow and run with the crowd. However, while he was running, he looked at the entire playground. Soon Crow's face became a little uneasy because the playground was quite big, about 2 kilometers in one lap. In other words, running 20 laps is equivalent to running 40 kilometers. Coupled with the warm-up that Brian just mentioned, it made Chloe break out in a cold sweat. At the end of the day, Crow was completely exhausted, but several of his roommates were very lively. One of the roommates was feasting and then reminded, "Cielo, eat more meat and go to the pharmacy later to get some ointment to apply on it. Otherwise, you won't be able to get up tomorrow." "Thank you." The weak Crow endured the pain in his body and bit off a large piece of meat. As the sea animal meat was swallowed, he only felt warm in his body. These eaten sea animals are small Poseidon species, which have great benefits for the body. After a hearty meal, Crow, led by his roommate, went to the pharmacy in the camp and took some ointment that could relieve muscle fatigue and injuries. This ointment uses a sea deer beast that has been injected with vitality by Barton as the raw material. It contains a lot of vitality. Although it is not as effective as the direct injection of vitality by Barton, the advantage is that it does not require Barton to inject it every 3 days, and Barton will not be exposed. Ability. After applying the ointment, Crow felt that his body was recovering a little bit, as if he was soaking in a hot spring. But it was not time for them to rest at night, because students also need to take cultural classes and science classes. Crow, who was taking a cultural class for the first time, looked at the book of dragon slayers in his hand, and his heart was filled with turmoil, and cold sweat broke out on his back. The roommate on the side saw Crow's panic. He comforted him with a smile. "Don't worry, if you don't take the initiative to tell me, who knows what you have learned, not to mention that many of the things in this book are the reality of this world." Crow was about to cry but had no tears. He felt like he was on a pirate ship and it would be difficult to escape. After all, once someone finds out that he has studied this kind of books here, the world government will never let him go. But being weak and helpless, what can he do at this time? He can only choose to passively accept the reality and warn himself that he must not casually say what he has learned here in the future. End of chapter. Chapter 35. The Organ Islands, thousands of miles away. After replenishing supplies at a nearby port, an armed merchant ship quickly set sail and sailed toward the Dominican Islands in the north. A news bird was soaring in the midair not far away. Suddenly it saw the ship. It flapped its wings slightly and approached here. Anthony handed over the 50 pele casually, and the newsbird took out a newspaper from the bag and then took off again. Is there any news worth paying attention to? R asked, leaning on the mast. Anthony was flipping through Kaido. Kaido defeated the Kingdom of Prussia and plundered the country's military equipment. It seems that the arms market in New World is about to undergo big changes. Hasn't this guy become the Emperor of the Sea yet? It's coming soon. It will probably only take 1 or 2 years. Suddenly Anthony's eyes froze, and he looked at a piece of news in the corner of the newspaper. Marine Lieutenant General Sakaski kills the wild beast pirates. Sakaski. That is to say, the steel fruit ability user of the wild beast pirates is most likely dead. Anthony kept this in mind. 3 days later, Anthony, who planned to rest ashore on a nearby desert island, looked at the empty sea in front of him and quickly took out a permanent pointer from the cap. In fact, not only the islands in the Grand Line have permanent pointers, but the islands in the Four Seas can also have permanent pointers. However, the overall magnetic field in the Four Seas is biased towards stability, so an ordinary compass can also be used for accurate navigation. Therefore, fewer people use permanent pointers or record pointers. But the Noah family has quite a few permanent pointers, which are mainly found from sunken ships on the seabed. Because hundreds of years ago, the development of the world was not as complete as it is now. At that time, permanent pointers and compasses coexisted. The permanent pointer on Anthony's hand is a pointer called Barak Island. At this time, the pointer actually deviated from its original direction and pointed to the northeast. Anthony was lost in thought. What's going on? Why did the direction of Barak Island change? Anthony, what happened? Ali jumped down from the observation deck on the mast. The position of Barak Island is different from the position recorded on the chart. It is now pointing northeast. How could this happen? Ali was also confused. What should we do now? Should we go directly to the Dominican Islands? Or should we go to Barak Island? Anthony thought for a while and then made a decision. Change the route. Let's go to Barak Island first. Okay. Soon the armed merchant ship adjusted its direction and sailed northeast. Before I knew it, I was drifting on the sea for another 3 days. During this period, they sailed nearly 600 kilometers. The armed merchant ship finally anchored at this time. But Anthony on the deck looked solemnly at the permanent pointer on his hand, which was pointing at the white clouds in the sky. He took out his telescope and observed for a while, and finally found some vague outlines among the white clouds, which confirmed his suspicion. Barak Island was moved by the Golden Lion. The Beast Legion incident 2 years ago caused the Golden Lion to be targeted by Marine. In order to avoid the same thing happening again, the Golden Lion abandoned the dozen islands it had moved before and instead chose some unknown unmanned islands in the East China Sea. The deserted island was transformed into a brand new floating base. However, Golden Lion did not expect that the Barak Island he moved casually had a permanent pointer. In fact, this Barak Island was a very famous medical country in the East China Sea 438 years ago, so there were a lot of permanent pointers flowing out. According to the official historical records of the world government, a rare plague broke out on Barak Island 438 years ago and soon disappeared in the tide of history. However, after reading the world history annotated by Noah, Anthony knew that the celestial dragons would conduct so-called human hunting against countries that did not join the world government every 3 years. This Barak Island was most likely destroyed by the celestial dragons. Naturally, the Golden Lion didn't know the history of Barak Island. He thought it was a desert island with some historical relics, so he moved it away. Because Anthony was on the way, he planned to land on Barak Island to investigate and see if there was no medical technology left over from the Kingdom of Barak. Instead, he found the location of the Golden Lion. At this time, Anthony quickly calmed down. He took out a phone bug and dialed Noah's number directly. Brother, something happened to the cargo and I need you to come over in person. I asked Alii to pick you up. Is that so? No problem. I'll be there soon. This is a secret code established in advance within the Noah family, mainly to prevent phone bugs from being eavesdropped. After a while, R opened the wormhole, and Noah crossed over from the wormhole in Rum Kingdom. As soon as Noah arrived, Anthony revealed everything he had discovered. The Golden Lion is up there? Noah was a little surprised by this news. He originally thought that after the golden lion suffered a loss, its specific location would definitely become difficult to find. I never expected that I would meet Noah in such a way. Soon Noah pulled out the tarot cards. The divination results appear on the cards. 100% winning rate, 62% being escaped by the opponent, 21% killing the opponent, and 7% capturing the opponent. Noah did not feel troubled by the divination results, because the divination results were only a reference and the future was not static. Soon he thought of a method that could increase the success rate of capture to nearly 100%. The merchant ship stayed here for more than an hour and soon set sail again, with Anthony and Vic continuing their previous mission. At the same time, on a nearby desert island, R and Noah walked out of the wormhole. Then Eri brought Lilith over from the Kingdom of Rum. Soon a small sailboat appeared on the shore. Lilith has changed her appearance, changed into a set of old clothes, and dressed like a female pirate, sailing alone in the nearby waters. In 2 days, when the Golden Lion led people into the sea to rob, Lilith appeared nearby in a small sailboat at the right time, and then Lilith began to operate the small sailboat to escape. Seeing the Golden Lion on the small sailboat, he naturally would not let Lilith go. He quickly approached Lilith's small sailboat. But Lilith, who has a strong sense of the environment, still used the sea currents and weather to stimulate the Golden Lion a little. After overturning Lilith's boat, the Golden Lion looked at the violent storm around him, with a hint of memory and anger on his face, and at the same time he looked at the little girl in front of him with some surprise. He pinched Lilith's neck. "Did you know there would be a storm here?" "Ahem. You monster." Lilith pretended to be unable to resist. "Ha ha ha, very good. If you are willing to be my navigator, then I can give you everything you want. Ha ha. Even if you are a golden lion, you can't help me." Lilith looked down on the other party. The Golden Lion suddenly became angry. "Are you sure? If you can hand over the head of a celestial dragon to me, I will agree to be your navigator. Otherwise, I will ask you to let me go." Lilith's eyes were full of hatred and anger. Hearing that the celestial dragons were going to be killed, Golden Lion became much less suspicious of Lilith. After all, people from CP did not dare to speak ill of the celestial dragons. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites shared the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. End of chapter. Chapter 36. Although Golden Lion did not agree to help Lilith kill the Tianlong people, he still cheated Lilith to the floating island on the condition of teaching domineering and sword skills. Noah, who was hiding more than 10 kilometers away, sensed Lilith tearing the cards on her body and knew that she had successfully infiltrated the Golden Lion pirates. Lilith did not carry a phone bug with her. Her only insurance was the space coordinate gem around her neck and a deck of playing cards made by Noah. On the floating island, Lilith showed off her sailing talent to the Golden Lion while disguising herself as an ordinary person and asking for advice on domineering and sword skills from the Golden Lion. After more than half a month of operation, Lilith's status in the Golden Lion pirates has skyrocketed, almost surpassing that of the second-in-command scientist Indigo. At the same time, Lilith also discovered the weakness of the Golden Lion, that is, the boat on its head, which not only limited its domineering power, but also caused symptoms of confusion from time to time. Inside a specialized training ground on the floating island, the Golden Lion was explaining the advanced application skills of armed color domineering. After explaining it for a few minutes, his eyes suddenly changed and he began to crow like a rooster. Kakik. Opportunity. Lilith burst out with speed instantly, and then a colorless and odorless poisonous gas was released from her body. Soon, the toxins began to enter the lungs with the Golden Lion's breathing. After only a minute, the Golden Lion fell into a coma. The compound toxin not only had a rapid anesthetic effect, but also made people fall into fantasy and had a very good sleep aid effect. Lilith tore apart a playing card again. In an instant, the spatial coordinates in the gem of her necklace were activated, and a wormhole appeared on the field. Because this training ground is very hidden, and Lilith is fully monitoring it, the other members of the Golden Lion pirate group do not know that the Golden Lion has fallen into a deep sleep. Noah and Eri jump out of the wormhole. "Brother, the mission is accomplished," Lilith said with an expression on her face, as if you were about to praise me. Noah touched her hair. "Thank you for your hard work. Let's deal with the other members of the Golden Lion pirate group first. Then Golden Lion will trouble you, Lilith." "Okay." Lilith continued to inject venom into the Golden Lion's body, ensuring that the Golden Lion remained asleep. Of course, she didn't dare to soak the Golden Lion in seawater now. Otherwise, the buoyancy of these floating islands would disappear and they would fall in midair. Noah, R, as well as Mary, Ajay, and Anthony quickly moved towards the Golden Lion Pirate Station. During this period, Noah's intelligence was fully activated, locking everyone on the dozen or so floating islands. In addition to the original feathered people on Wilmeo Island, there are more than 2,000 pirate subordinates of the Golden Lion. Those feathered people live concentratedly on another floating island. Most of the Golden Lion's subordinates are on Lion Island, the main island of the floating islands. There are also several floating islands used to cultivate evolved beasts, and hundreds of pirates are stationed there. According to Lilith's information, Scientist Indigo and Orangutan Scarito are on the island. The Fishman Swordsman is on Beast Island number 1. Noah asked the brothers Alii and Ajay to annihilate the Fishman Swordsman. He personally took charge of clearing the entire island. Soon Noah's intelligence saw Indigo. He knew that this guy could use chemical reactions to create venom, so he had no intention of getting close to him. Before Indigo could react, Noah instantly appeared behind him. The reason was that Indigo had lost his vigilance due to being on the Golden Lion's floating island for a long time. By the time he heard the danger behind him, it was already too late. Noah knocked the opponent unconscious with a knife and sealed him casually. Immediately afterwards, Noah's Conqueror's dominance suddenly broke out. The terrifying Conqueror's haki instantly caused a large number of pirates to fall unconscious, but those who were still conscious did not notice anything unusual at this time. Because when the Golden Lion is sick, Conqueror's domineering energy will occasionally break out. However, when Anthony's infrasound waves and Mary's blade hit the pirates who were still awake, these people woke up as if from a dream. Enemy? Idiot. Fight back quickly. Cole, you are dead. Boss Shiki will never let you go. Oh. The invisible ultrasonic blade cut down the pirates one by one as if cutting wheat. Mary slid rapidly in the air. Her speed was too fast to be recognized by the naked eye, and with the extremely smooth dagger, the pirates she cut usually ended up being cut in two. Hole, the orangutan roared angrily. The next second, Noah appeared in front of it, and Conqueror's domineering power was instantly concentrated on the orangutan, which made the simple-minded orangutan seem to have seen something terrible. Before it could make a move, Noah threw out a card covered in an armed color. The card, which was like a flying knife, cut open the knee socket of the orangutan's left foot at an extremely tricky angle. The injured area was hit, making the left foot unable to move. In an instant, Noah's fingers were condensed with armed, domineering energy, and he inserted the third rib on the right side of the orangutan between the lightning and flint. Armed color internal destruction. The orangutan's eyes widened, and his whole body seemed to have been smashed by a hammer. Then he couldn't get up again and fell heavily to the ground. Less than 20 minutes. All the pirates on the island were wiped out. On the other side, the Arge brothers also used lightning speed to annihilate several pirates on the Beast Island, as well as the last leader, the Fishman Swordsman. Even if he is a Fishman Swordsman with extraordinary strength, when he encounters a Jai who controls thousands of graphene threads, and Alii who is lurking in the dark, he will naturally end up being tied up. After cleaning up these pirates, Noah and others finally began to count their harvest. In addition to the Golden Lion itself and the two supreme sharp knives, the greatest value of this floating island is the IQ grass cultivated in it, as well as the research data on IQ grass. But the top priority now is to deal with the sleeping Golden Lion as soon as possible. Noah also feels a little troublesome about the situation of the Golden Lion. The current way to safely deal with the boat on the Golden Lion's head is to use the results of surgery. Unfortunately, the results of the operation have not yet appeared. If the Golden Lion is not dealt with as soon as possible, this immovable floating island will sooner or later be discovered by the world government, and it will be very dangerous by then. But now he is directly transforming the Golden Lion. After Noah passed the tarot card divination, he did not see the possibility of success. This was the reason for his hesitation. You must know that the strategic significance of Piapiao fruit is too great. Having this fruit in hand means that the Noah family can be invincible. Even the world government cannot encircle and suppress the Noah family. After all, the main reason why the Golden Lion was captured was that the other party was out of his mind and insisted on going to Marineland to challenge Garp and Sengoku alone, with an attitude of not giving up. There is no way to transform the Golden Lion. Noah could only choose another relatively conservative method. End of Chapter 37. Since there is currently no 100% guarantee for the apostle transformation of Golden Lion, Noah can only adopt a conservative backup plan. Noah activates the secret base that was previously a backup. West Cassis Island. REI opened the teleportation wormhole and brought some IQ grass and the feathered villagers to Secassis Island. The beasts transformed by Indigo were sealed by Noah with cards, and the floating islands were also sealed by Noah with cards. Some extremely large floating islands were divided into several pieces and sealed separately. At this time, the upper limit of Noah's card space is equivalent to a cube with a side length of 3 kilometers, and its volume is 27 cubic kilometers, which can barely be crammed into some smaller islands. As for the seawater and fresh water brought up by the Golden Lion, Noah let the water fall back into the sea after sealing the Golden Lion. West Cassis Island at this time. More than 2,000 Uran villagers have also accepted the rule of the Noah family. After all, compared to the ruthlessness of the Golden Lion, Noah at least will not force them to do things. As long as they help cultivate IQ grass and select some tribesmen to become Noah as peripheral members of the family, Noah ensured that they could live safely on West Cassis Island. Although West Cassis Island is very barren, this barrenness is not a bad thing, nor can it be transformed. While Lilith and Mary were managing things here, they captured the strange birds on West Cassis Island. The group of strange birds on West Cassis Island is not small. There are more than 1,300 large and small birds in total. The adult strange birds are huge, and their attack power is not weak. At least they can kill unprepared ordinary people instantly. Lilith used her ability to prepare a special toxin that would become addictive after being eaten by strange birds. Of course, the intensity of this addiction is not high, and is roughly equivalent to the effect of catnip on cats. In addition, some medicines and antidotes that can make the strange birds itchy are prepared. While secretly poisoning the strange birds, the feathered people give them the antidote, thereby cultivating the intimacy between the strange birds and the feathered people. Lilith formed a 200-person air cavalry force with strange birds and feathers as the core. In the world of pirates, due to the vast sea area, the flexibility and maneuverability of air forces are stronger than ground forces and maritime forces. Although the maximum load capacity of an adult strange bird can only reach more than 600 kilograms, this is not irreversible. For example, IQ grass can make animals huge and violent, thereby achieving a skyrocketing increase in power. To be precise, IQ grass contains an ingredient that allows biological evolution. The Noah family naturally looks down on the Golden Lion's raging beast army, but the direction of enlargement is a research direction worth trying for the strange birds. In the future, the Noah family will definitely recruit biological and pharmaceutical scientists, so that the research on IQ grass will be on the right track. For example, there are many good doctors and drug researchers in the Iron Bucket Kingdom. However, it is still too early for doctors who are plotting the Iron Bucket Kingdom, because the king of the Iron Bucket Kingdom at this time was still Valbo's father, and Valbo probably ascended the throne around 1510 in the Hainan calendar. Noah analyzed this from Princess Vivi's memories, because Princess Vivi followed Cobra to Marigioa to participate in the World Government meeting in 1512. During this period, Valpo slapped Princess Vivi. The reason why the two clashed was that Cobra publicly accused Valpo of his plan to kill the doctors. Obviously, with Valbo's character, he would definitely launch a doctor-killing plan within 1 or 2 years after he ascended the throne. Therefore, Noah speculated that Valbo should have ascended the throne around 1510 AD. Of course, Noah will definitely not wait until 1510, because the Iron Bucket Kingdom has some valuable devil fruits, such as the Tunton fruit, the fungi fruit, and the Renren fruit in ordinary form. These devil fruits are worthy of his early visit. In addition to forming an air cavalry unit, Lilith also used special toxin pheromones to successfully conquer some of the black ants underground on West Cassis Island. The reason why we want to conquer the hell black ants is not because of the fighting ability of these ants, but because of the ecological niche of the hell black ants on West Cassis Island. Their ecological niche is actually that of growers, not predators. After all, apart from those strange flying birds, there are only poisonous sweet potatoes and bitter banyan trees on West Cassis Island, and few other large animals exist. This makes it impossible for hell black ants, which are as big as a thumb, to hunt animals for food. Therefore, the hell black ants will continue to dig underground caves, and then collect the leaves of the bitter banyan tree and poisonous sweet potato as a medium for cultivating several types of edible fungi. By growing mushrooms, hell black ants can maintain the size of their colony. Lilith's sister, Lillian, had discovered many delicious mushrooms on West Cassis Island before, including cream mushrooms, honey mushrooms, beef mushrooms, and cilantro mushrooms. These mushrooms are very delicious and have very high nutritional value. Lilith planned to let the hell black ants provide mushrooms to the Featherman village, and let the Featherman village provide sea beast meat to the hell black ants. The reason why hell black ants need sea animal meat is because simply eating mushrooms will stunt the growth of hell black ant larvae. In order to obtain the meat of sea beasts, Hell black ants will dig out some ponds on the rock walls of the coast, taking advantage of the rising and falling tides, and then put various mushrooms in them to attract sea beasts and sea fish during the high tide. When the tide ebbs, some sea monsters and sea fish will be left in the pond. However, this capture method can only obtain a small amount of sea animal meat, which is another reason why it is difficult for the hell black ant population to expand. Therefore, through this feature, the feathered man and the hell black ant can initially achieve symbiosis. In this way, West Cassis Island can initially achieve self-sufficiency and avoid the food supply on the island being cut off due to emergencies. Of course, in order to prevent uninvited guests from entering Cassis Island, Lilith placed many secret posts on the island according to Noah's arrangement to monitor the movements of the surrounding sea areas. At the same time, with the help of Ars Cave fruit, the underground cave of West Cassis Island was transformed into a real underground maze, and many traps were arranged inside. Noah also took action and selected some ordinary islands from the Golden Lion's floating islands for cutting, and then filled them on several small beaches on West Cassis Island to ensure that there were no tidal flats for foreign ships to land. With the addition of the air cavalry unit, the defense system of West Cassis Island has been initially completed. But this is not the final version yet. After all, the West Cassis Island at this stage can only be fixed in this sea area. As long as it is a fixed island, it will be difficult to defend once it confronts the world government. Therefore, the future of West Cassis Island must be a floating fortress floating in the sky, so as to ensure that it cannot be easily locked and destroyed by the world government. As the initial transformation of West Cassis Island came to an end, Anthony and Vic in the Dominican Islands finally found the paste fruit growing on the desert island. End of chapter. Chapter 38. At the same time, in the South Blue Domain of the East China Sea, there is Red Maple Island, about 1,157 kilometers away from the Kingdom of Rum. A newly formed pirate group landed on the island and burned, killed, and looted the island. "You guys, kill me." The burly pirate captain laughed wildly. The skunk kicked over a fruit basket with a look of dismay on his face. "Boss Bear, this village is too poor. There is nothing at all." Looking at the apples rolling on the ground, Big Bear also looked disgusted, but when he saw one of the maverick apples, his eyes suddenly stopped. He didn't care about anything else, pushed the skunk away, and then picked up the apple. Looking at the silver-gray tangerine pattern on the apple, the big bear trembled with his hands. Could this thing be the legendary secret treasure of the sea? A devil fruit, right? The skunk climbed up and cautiously reminded, "Brother, isn't this thing poisonous?" However, the big bear didn't listen at all, but directly took a bite of the fruit. As the indescribable stench spread in his mouth, a sickly smile appeared on the big bear's face. "Ha ha ha, it is indeed a secret treasure of the sea." After eating the fruit, the big bear looked at the shivering villagers with cruel eyes, and then he showed a cruel smile. The next moment, Big Bear's body entered a state of steel, and he punched a villager's head open with one fist. "Ha ha ha, I like this power so much." In order to test the fruit's ability, Big Bear slaughtered more than 200 remaining villagers. In the end, leaving behind devastated ruins and corpses on the ground, the poker pirates walked away. The next day, the intelligence organization of the Rum Kingdom, Distillery. Through today's Donghai Times, I learned about the news that Red Maple Town was massacred by pirates. Originally, the person in charge of the winery did not pay too much attention to the news. However, with the announcement of the reward for the poker pirates, Big Bear obtained the steel fruit. The news was also announced by Marine. Noah listened to Mary's report. He tapped his fingers lightly on the table. Has the steel fruit been eaten? It doesn't matter. Where are they now? The winery discovered traces of the poker pirates on Eridu Island. The pirates secretly resupplied at the island's port last night and then left quickly. Ask Lilith and REI to go out and find them for me. Except for Big Bear, no other pirates will be left alive. Yes. Lilith on West Cassis Island soon received the notice. REI first took Lilith to Eridu Island, and then started searching in all directions with this island as the center. Lilith, who can fly quickly, and R, who can jump through wormholes, soon found the poker pirates. Although this Big Bear is cruel by nature, there is also a think tank like Skunk among his subordinates. Skunk knows that massacring the town will make them targeted by marine and powerful bounty hunters, so Skunk quickly makes a plan planned. First, they secretly resupplied on Alidu Island, and then quickly left the nearby waters and headed to a hidden desert island that they had prepared before. It's a pity that their sailing speed is too slow. Lilith and R soon found him. "Lilith, are there anyone else or newsbirds around?" "No." then go down and meet each other for a while. The next moment, Lilith landed lightly on the deck of the Big Bear, followed closely by R, who quickly jumped through a wormhole and appeared behind Lilith. Both wore masks and white suits. The clown who was in charge of the lookout immediately noticed the sudden appearance of the two people and jumped off the mast. "Who are you? The Joker of the poker pirates?" The next second, Ali appeared behind the opponent and inserted a finger gun into the clown's spine. Poof! The clown felt that his spine was broken, and then his body became weaker and weaker. He shouted in horror, "Big Bear Boss, help me!" Boom! A steaming Iron Man smashed onto the deck where Ali was standing. However, Ali had already discovered the opponent with his intelligence and jumped to the mast through the wormhole. Big Bear looked at the clown who was lying on the ground and wailing, with uncontrollable anger on his face, and his body quickly turned red and warm. "No matter who you are, I will kill you today." However, what responded to him was Lilith's poisonous needle. Oh! A large number of those pirates fell instantly. "Woman, go to hell." Big Bear waved his high-heat iron fist and hit Lilith hard. Lilith's hands were covered with armed colors, and then she drew a paper and bent her limbs to avoid the Big Bear's iron fist, and her hands seemed to become flexible lion majesty. In an instant, Lilith's fist hit Big Bear's lower back and back of the head respectively. The Big Bear only felt his brain shake, and then his body fell forward involuntarily. The next moment, Lilith kicked the Big Bear in the back 3 times in a row, instantly kicking it into the sea. Big Bear, who had just woken up from the concussion, suddenly felt weak all over, and seawater began to pour into his mouth. "Ari, bring the Big Bear back. Leave it to me." Lilith looked at the remaining pirates coldly. In an instant, the weapon color covered the dagger, cutting off the hand of the skunk who was preparing for a sneak attack, and then a finger gun was inserted into the opponent's forehead. A backflip, his feet curled up into a dense mass of air blades. Secret technique. Meat grinder. Within a moment, only broken limbs and bloody Madara were left on the deck. A pirate hiding behind saw this scene and was so frightened that he cried out, "Devil! I want to go home," then jumped directly into the sea. It's a pity that Lillian didn't let go of his idea. She shot out a poisonous needle at lightning speed and penetrated into the back of the jumping pirate. The violent cardiac glycoside toxin caused the pirate's body to completely lose control. A large amount of seawater poured into his mouth and nose, causing him to suffocate to death. The pirates hiding in the cabin also did not escape. Under Lilith's knowledge, they had no way to hide. As the last pirate was beheaded by Lilith, Ali also used his sense of sight and wormholes to fish the Big Bear out of the sea, and Lilith gave him a shot of paralyzing toxin. The two returned to Rum Kingdom through the wormhole. The Big Bear quickly sank to the bottom of the sea amid explosions and burning. In the secret base of Rum Kingdom, Noah looked at the Big Bear that looked like a dead dog in front of him, without any mercy, and directly asked Ali to open the wormhole and help him cut off the Big Bear's frontal lobe. Then he took out a stack of tarot cards and asked the tarot cards to choose suitable cards. Soon a minor arcana card appeared in Noah's hand. King of Wands, Overlord. Steel represents strength. High temperature represents passion. Soon the fusion ceremony was completed and the card turned into King of Wands, Big Bear. Noah put away this card and added the previously created Squire of Wands, Brian, and Devil, Pam Button. At present, Noah already has 3 card apostles, which is equivalent to possessing the abilities of 3 other devil fruits. End of chapter. Chapter 39. August 11th, 1504 in the Hyuan calendar. The place where Noah's family started, Starfish Island. The family still maintains several small industries on Starfish Island, and at this time Noah is taking Ali to jump back to the island through the wormhole. However, Noah and the two did not stay on Starfish Island for too long. Soon they will secretly drive the Nautilus to the Red Earth continent. In fact, the entire Pole Star Islands are right next to the Red Earth continent, and the distance between the two places is less than 700 kilometers at the nearest point. The reason why Noah and the two went to the Red Earth continent was to go to North Blue. In fact, it is relatively easy to go from the East China Sea to the North Blue. The two sea areas are separated by the Red Earth continent. Later, the Vinsmoke family used a large snail boat to directly cross the Red Earth continent and enter the East China Sea. If you want to go to South Blue and West Blue, you have to pass through the Sky Canal at Mount Levis, and you still have to go in reverse, which is very difficult. Of course, the forces that can cross the Red Earth continent are very powerful in themselves. At least they are not ordinary people. After Noah and his wife arrived at the nearby Red Earth continent, They looked at the towering red rock walls and the white ice and snow on the top of the red Earth continent. They knew that it would be too difficult for ordinary people to climb over this tens of thousands of meters of plateau. Big. But Noah didn't need to cross the red continent. The two wandered around the nearby waters for more than a week and finally found several suitable locations. These locations are very dangerous in the sea below the rock wall. Among them, the 3 sea areas, including the tidal sea section, the maelstrom section, and the ghost reef bay section, are the most dangerous. If it weren't for the strength of Noah and R, they might not be able to pass through these sea areas safely. After inspection and selection, Noah finally chose the most dangerous and relatively hidden tidal sea. The entire tidal sea presents a trumpet shape. When the tide rises every day, seawater will continuously pour in from the outer sea. As the wave gets closer to the innermost side, the waves will become higher and higher. During astronomical spring tides, they can even exceed hundreds of meters. When the tide recedes every day, the sea level in the tidal sea will drop rapidly, causing many underwater reefs to be exposed, turning this area into a reef area that is difficult for ships to navigate. Noah and REI directly gave up the idea of driving the Nautilus to enter, and instead relied on their own abilities to reach the innermost part of the tidal sea. Washed by the everlasting waves, the rock walls here are riddled with holes, a bit like the rock walls of West Cassis Island. This is why Noah chose this location. Although the core area where the world government is stationed in the Red Continent is the Mariajoya section, it does not mean that they do not monitor other areas of the Red Continent. If a cave suddenly appeared on the rock wall of the Red Earth Continent, it would be easily discovered by the world government's patrol ship. Not only is there no patrol boats patrolling the tidal sea all year round, the rock walls themselves are covered with caves eroded by waves, which provides very good natural cover. The two found a suitable cave and began to build a secret passage. Rayleigh used the ability of the cave fruit to quickly dig a tunnel in the rock wall in front of him. The excavated rock was directly transported by the wormhole to a nearby trench. This is also the basic principle of the cave fruit digging caves. The width of the Red Earth continent is very huge, reaching more than 5,000 kilometers at its widest point and no less than 1,000 kilometers at its narrowest point. The width of this section of the tidal sea to the North Blue on the opposite side is about 3,200 kilometers. In addition, the excavation route is not necessarily a straight line, because Noah does not know what the situation is in the opposite sea at this time. If the opposite sea is calm, the route must be adjusted. R's burrowing speed is very fast. With his physical strength, he can dig continuously for about 3 hours. The cross-sectional radius of this tunnel is about 50 meters, and Ali can dig forward about 10 kilometers per hour. In other words, he can dig 30 kilometers of tunnel every day. The width of 3,200 kilometers takes about 107 days. And Noah was not idle either. Although the tunnel has been excavated, it does not mean that it can be put into use immediately, because the air exchange rate inside the ultra-long tunnel is very slow, and there may even be a risk of suffocation. If the cross-sectional radius of the tunnel can be expanded to about 1 kilometer, this problem can be solved. Unfortunately, the radius of this cross-section is too large, which is not only easy to expose, but also easy to cause instability in the surrounding rock formations, leading to large-scale collapse. Therefore, Noah could only choose another compromise plan. That is to build an oxygen bottle storage room at a certain distance on the side of the tunnel to replenish oxygen bottles to family members passing by, and even store some fresh water and food in it. In addition, in order to speed up the passage, Noah also laid 2 stone tracks for the rapid travel of electric trains. These facilities and tunnels are actually used by ordinary members of the family. After all, Noah has cards to store supplies, and Ali can use wormholes to jump. The two of them do not need the supply station inside this tunnel. The reason why we went to great lengths to build this secret tunnel even though Ali was there was just in case. For example, if Ali died suddenly or was temporarily unable to support him, the family could quickly use this tunnel to escape. Traveling to and from the East China Sea North Blue, Noah actually prepared several similar backup plans. After all, if you are prepared for any trouble, if you think of a solution when the problem comes, it may cause serious consequences. This is the situation Noah has been trying to avoid. With the initial construction of the tidal sea rock wall base, Ali also left a semi-permanent wormhole transmission coordinate point here. Currently, the limit of the wormhole coordinate points that Ali can maintain is 8. Among them, one is deployed at the Rum base in the Rum Kingdom, one is deployed at the Ant Nest base on West Cassis Island, and one is deployed at the bottom of a large trench near the Rum Kingdom, plus one is deployed at the tidal base. For this one, 4 fixed wormhole coordinate points have been used. The remaining 4 wormhole coordinate points are used by Ali for combat and daily travel. Inside the tidal base, in addition to the wormhole coordinates arranged by Ali, there are also self-destruction devices secretly arranged by Noah, as well as various defensive facilities. Before I knew it, more than 3 months had passed. After more than 100 days of continuous work, Ali finally dug near the rock wall on the north blue side. For the remaining 1 kilometer of rock formation, Ali did not dig through it immediately, but chose to dig out a small passage that could only accommodate 1 person. Soon, Ali dug through the rock formation, but he was very careful, only opening a small gap, and carefully observed the situation in the surrounding sea area. This location is on a rock wall about 150 meters above sea level, and the surrounding sea is very calm. This disappoints Ali because such calm sea is not suitable for export. End of chapter. Chapter 40. Noah, who followed closely behind, did not find any human activities or ships on the nearby sea surface through his telepathic perception. Only then did Noah take Ali, wearing a black suit and mask, to search on the coast of the Red Continent on the north blue side. The hard work paid off, and after 2 days of selection, the two finally found a suitable location. This location is less than 80 kilometers away from the previous small exit. In the sea near it, there is a special creature, acid coral. Acid corals are entrenched in this sea area, especially in the shallow sea areas near the Red Earth continent, forming a large forest of acid corals. The damage caused by this creature to ships is very terrible. As long as the bottom of the ship touches acid corals, these acid corals will trigger a defense mechanism and release high concentrations of acid to the surroundings. Noah collected this acid and found that it could corrode not only wood, but also steel. With the density of acid corals in the Coral Sea, as long as a ship comes close, the bottom of the ship will be eroded by the acid. Moreover, due to the high density of acid corals in the Coral Sea, the air here is also filled with thick acid mist, and acid rain will fall from time to time. Human skin is directly exposed to these acid liquids, acid mist, and acid rain, which is almost the same as taking a bath in sulfuric acid. With this natural Jedi, Noah immediately decided to set up the exit on the Coral Sea, refill the small opening that was dug out previously, and eliminate any obvious traces. It took more than half a month to change the route. Finally, the exit was dug into the rock wall near the Coral Sea, but the exit was not opened directly, but was disguised through a series of disguises. It was already January of 1505 in the Haiyuan calendar. Noah and R, who have completed the construction of the North Blue Tunnel in the East China Sea, have been secretly sailing around the North Blue, except for going back to Rum Kingdom to celebrate the new year. The goal of Noah and the two of them is the fruit of the operation that may appear in North Blue. In the original timeline, the Kingdom of Free Fans where Trafalgar Law was located was attacked and destroyed by the kingdom between 1505 and 1506. In 1506, Trafalgar Law joined the Don Quixote family. 13-year-old Luo was taken away from the Don Quixote family by Rosinante in 1509. In the same year, he ate the fruit of the operation on Mignon Island in North Blue. Judging from the results of Noah's tarot card divination, the fruit of the operation is indeed in North Blue at this time. But when it comes to specific locations, tarot card divination seems to be powerless. Apparently, this is because the demonic will of the surgical fruit is too strong, and it instinctively resists Noah's divination. Although there is no way to lock its exact location through divination, but Noah had another way. That is a reverse operation. He does not use tarot cards to divine information about surgical fruits, but to divine whether devil fruits exist on each North Blue Island. This method of finding a needle in a haystack has been Noah's work for more than a month. At present, the two have searched 21 islands and found a devil fruit on one of the islands. It is the bully dog form of the dog fruit of the ordinary animal type. It is considered a good animal type fruit. As time passed, the two people's journey gradually approached the large island of the Kingdom of Flevens. Due to the exposure of Morgans, the aphrodisiac disease in the Kingdom of Frevans was suddenly made public, which also put the world government into a passive state. But when Noah entered Barclay Island, the island where the Kingdom of Frevans is located, he discovered that the other 4 countries on the island were secretly mobilizing their forces. Obviously, the world government can't wait to kill people and silence them. Noah and R, who secretly sneaked into the Kingdom of Fredericks, looked at the common people of Frevans walking like zombies on the streets. They felt that the country had completely lost hope. Many people even gave up on themselves and drank too much on the streets. Drunk. Suddenly, a middle-aged man in a white coat hurried towards the distance carrying a first aid box. "Dr. Andy, have you not given up yet?" Hiccup. "Ha ha ha. Give up. We have been abandoned." A drunk man shouted with ridicule and despair. The doctor named Andy shook his head. Everyone, please don't give up. As long as you are alive, there will be hope. I will definitely find a way to treat the lead disease. Another old man with a lifeless face said feebly, Give up. Didn't you see that the kings have run away? And the neighboring countries don't allow us to enter at all. Now we are like on an isolated island, without even a chance to escape. No. Despite Andy's earnest persuasion, other residents did not have the slightest confidence. Noah and Alii, who were hiding in the dark, also had no intention of intervening. According to the intelligence collected by Ali from the armies of the four countries, the plan of the four countries to destroy the kingdom of free fans will not be launched for about 2 weeks. Now the coalition forces of the four countries are only gradually strengthening the border searches to prevent anyone from escaping. It's still early, so there's no need to be too anxious. I followed Dr. Andy for more than an hour. After seeing several critically ill patients, Dr. Andy returned to the small hospital. There are a large group of children living in this small hospital, including brothers and sisters Trafalgar Row and Trafalgar Lammy. After Noah saw Luo calling Andy his father, he knew that Dr. Andy should be Luo's father. After secretly observing the situation in the hospital, Noah found that the health of these children was very poor, and many children's faces were already covered with white Madara, which is a manifestation of the late stage of lead disease. With the current medical level in North Blue, unless the witch who lives in seclusion in the Iron Bucket Kingdom can be called upon, he will have no choice but to wait for death. Of course, Noah's card sealing techniques can also temporarily seal these patients. Once a doctor is available or the results of the operation are obtained, treating the lead disease will not be a big problem. In the dead of night, everything is silent. The drug research room at Trafalgar Hospital was still brightly lit, but Andy and his wife Mai were frowning at this time. Andy, Luo, and Lamy's condition is getting more serious. Looking at the blood test results, Andy naturally knew that the situation of the two children was not optimistic. Even if they could move away from Free Fan's kingdom now, they probably wouldn't be able to survive for 3 or 4 years. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Andy frowned, and his heart suddenly became heavy. He thought there was something wrong with the children's health and hurried to the gate of opening. As soon as the gate of opening opened, 2 strange young men appeared at the door. Who are you? Andy asked in surprise. Noah walked into the drug research room with a smile. Dr. Andy is also desperate about lead disease, right? After all, it is almost impossible to develop an antidote within a few years. Andy subconsciously wanted to refute, but then he showed a trace of bitterness. I really have no choice. We have been living in the kingdom of Frevans for a long time, and the amber lead content has penetrated into our blood, internal organs, and bones. I have 2 ways to solve the lead disease. What? Are you a doctor too? Andy looked at Noah in surprise. However, Noah shook his head. I am not a doctor, and my methods are not medical skills. Not medical skills? Andy was a little puzzled, but at this time he no longer cared about medical skills. As long as he could solve the problem of lead disease, he could accept it. But Andy quickly calmed down because he knew there was no free lunch in this world. End of chapter. Chapter 41. Is there anything you need our help with? Noah sat across from Andy with a smile. You are a smart man. In fact, your value to me is dispensable, but I admire your medical ethics. At the same time, this is also a practice for me to implement my own will. Practice of will? Andy didn't quite understand Noah's request. If you're poor, you can take care of yourself. If you are wealthy, you can help the world. I save this country because I have the ability to do it. Otherwise, I would not be here. If you are poor, you can be good for yourself. If you are rich, you can help the world. Andy muttered these 2 sentences, and at the same time he felt the powerful and heavy spirit of Noah. Mai on the side wiped away tears and begged, as long as you are willing to save Free Fans, I am willing to take the lead in preparing 10 billion belly for you. In fact, the income of civilians in Frevans' kingdom is not high, otherwise it would not become a member of the world government. If these civilians were allowed to prepare for a few months, 10 billion belly would be relatively easy. It's a pity that time waits for no one. The surrounding four-nation coalition forces will send troops to attack the kingdom of Frevans in 2 weeks, and the king of the kingdom of Frevans has already left with a group of cronies, heading for the grand route. Travel to the Iron Bucket Kingdom. Before Andy could speak, to tell you news, the 4 kingdoms near you are strengthening their border blockades. Take a look at this. Alii took out a phone bug and played the video of several kingdoms' internal military discussions. After watching these images, Andy and Milai felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave. How so? Didn't we already clarify the situation of lead disease in neighboring countries? Noah smiled and shook his head. Naive. Do you think these 4 countries really made their own decisions? I have investigated the scale of your Frevan's amber-lead exports in recent years, which has dropped from 1,270 tons in 1490 to the current 288 tons. This is the fundamental reason why you are going to be exterminated. What? Andy thought. Amber lead is not only a source of wealth for the Kingdom of Free Fans, but also a source of wealth for nearby neighboring countries. They all export amber lead products to the world through transportation and deep processing of amber lead, thus gaining huge benefits. As a large number of civilians in Frevans died of illness, especially after the cause of lead disease was exposed in recent years, did many local miners refuse to continue mining lead? This led to a rapid decline in lead production. With the loss of this huge financial source, the 4 surrounding countries must increase taxes internally in order to maintain the status of the franchised countries and the luxurious life of the nobles. If taxes are not increased, the nobles of the 4 countries must reduce various expenditures. At this time, all it takes is a hint from the world government, and they will definitely focus on the big fat meat in the Kingdom of Frevans. As long as they kill all the civilians in the Kingdom of Frevans, the accumulated wealth among the people of Frevans the wealth of hundreds of billions will fall into the hands of the 4 countries and the world government. After listening to Noah's reasoning, Andy and Milai broke out in cold sweat. Combined with some previous experiences, Andy is more certain that this will most likely become a reality. As a doctor, he often needs to go to nearby neighboring countries to buy medicines. In the past, the attitude of the businessmen in those neighboring countries was quite good. However, in recent years, they have become more and more indifferent, and they will even be interrogated and make things difficult for them when entering the country. Sir, you must have a way to save Free Fans. I am willing to give everything. Andy begged. I have the ability to seal people. When a person is in a sealed state, the time of their body is still. This is the first method, and it is also the method that can currently save the civilians of Free Fans on a large scale. Andy suddenly realized, is the devil fruit capable? So that's the case. This is indeed a method. As long as we can delay the time until the antidote and medical technology advance, we can treat it. Noah continued. The second way is to use the surgery fruit. This devil fruit can cure the lead disease, but I haven't found it yet. In fact, Noah has a third method, which is to use IQ grass extract, coupled with Barton's huge vitality, to stimulate the body's potential through IQ grass, digest the vitality and excrete the amber lead component from the body. However, this plan requires a huge amount of vitality. With Barton's vitality reserves, it is impossible to treat more than 80,000 civilians in the Kingdom of Free Fans. Therefore, Noah chose the first option, and then waited for the results of the operation to be found before performing a radical cure. Andy quickly made up his mind. I wonder what you would call me? Just call me Noah. He is we are from the Noah family. Noah family? Although Andy had never heard of the Noah family, he couldn't care about anything else at this time. Sir Noah, how do you need us to cooperate? I plan to recruit you to be the family's doctors and drug researchers. As for the rest of Free Fans, you only need to gather the nearby residents to the designated location in the name of physical examination, and leave the rest to the family. Is this so? Andy thought for a moment. I suggest starting from the remote Baishur village. There are more than 30,000 people here in the city, and they are easily exposed. The 2 sides discussed it for more than 2 hours. Before dawn, Andy first asked Noah to seal the more than 130 orphans in the hospital and his 2 children. Then Andy took his wife and Noah, who was disguised as a caregiver, and quickly headed to Baishur village 11 kilometers away. In less than 3 days, 13 villages around Freefan City were completely evacuated. At this time, there are only more than 30,000 people in Frevan City and more than 5,000 people in the mining town left. For the mining town, Noah did not intend to go there in the name of free medical examination, because this place is a place under the direct control of Achaku, and there are hundreds of ruffians recruited by the king as supervisors of the miners. A quiet miners' town at night. Mary, Lilith, Alii, and Ajay joined forces. Ajay released dense graphene threads, and soon the entire town was covered with airtight. Lilith releases paralyzing toxin, restricting everyone's movement, including the phone bug hiding inside. Mary is responsible for reviewing everyone for misdeeds. Madara's people are immediately killed. Those who have no major problems are sent back to the temporary underground cave by Alii and handed over to Noah for sealing. It took 2 days to clear out the entire mining town, and more than 536 supervisors, thugs, and managers with serious problems were killed by Mary. And the other side, in Fravan City, Noah, Andy, and others also quickly sealed some single people or people living alone. After Mary finished handling the affairs of the mining town, Noah took the family members and began to fully take over the management of the entire city. To avoid leaking secrets, a giant sea of graphite fog has completely enveloped the entire city. The king's army and some of the royal attendants left behind in the palace were immediately subdued by Noah and Lilith. Those with bad deeds among them were all dealt with, and those with no problems were sealed on the spot. Less than 3 days, the entire city of Fravans was evacuated, and all valuable gold, silver, jewelry, and baileys were looted by the Noah family. After preliminary counting, in this operation, the Noah family received a total of 83.6 billion vellay in cash and gold and silver jewelry worth about 160 billion. This is still the case when a large part of the treasure was taken away by King Freefans III, otherwise it could at least be doubled. End of Chapter 42. February 8, 1505 in the Haiyuan calendar. When the Four-Nation Coalition forces rushed across the Freefans border with murderous intent, the Noah family has been away for 5 days with the civilians of Freefans and more than 200 billion in treasure. This incident shocked the world government, which secretly fanned the flames, and even the 5 elders were alarmed. Mary Ajoya. Among powers, the 5 elders listened to the report from the person in charge of CP6. Although their faces were expressionless, surprise and thinking could be seen in their eyes. The legal martial god Topman witchily looked at the others. What do you think? It should have been transferred through some kind of devil fruit ability, but amber disease is not easy to treat. People are looking at the Iron Bucket Kingdom. If they want to treat amber disease, they will most likely go to the Iron Barrel Kingdom. Scientific Defense Martial God Jagalucia Sartan, Saint analyzed. Agree. Saint Topman Witcherly, the legal god of war, continued to ask how to characterize the affairs of the Kingdom of Freefans. Marcus Saint, the god of environmental martial arts, suggested. On the grounds that there was a big explosion in the mining area and a large amount of amber lead dust was released, which led to the destruction of the Kingdom of Frevans and the blockade of the area for 50 years, how about making an announcement like this? Agree. As for those Frevans who escaped secretly, once their location is confirmed, launch a buster call immediately to eliminate them all. Agree. Soon the world government announced a qualitative announcement of the incident in the Kingdom of Freefans through its official newspaper. Although some smart people know that there must be something fishy about this matter, no one dares to openly question the world government's 800 years of accumulated power and control over information channels. Even the Morgans were warned. North Blue, Kingdom of Lubner, the hometown of the great talker Rolando. In a remote coastal villa, Andy and Milai were undergoing treatment nervously. They had been in the temporary ward for 3 days. During this period, Noah first injected about 50 years of vitality into Andy, and then injected a small dose of IQ extract into Andy's body. After 3 days of IQ ingredient stimulation, his body's immune system became extremely active, just like a bat that can resist multiple viruses, and his body temperature climbed to 42 degrees Celsius. If it were a normal person, maintaining a high body temperature of 42 degrees Celsius for 3 days and 3 nights would have burned him into an idiot. However, the IQ component and the huge vitality support allowed Andy to not only withstand the high body temperature state, but also successfully use the high-speed metabolism and large consumption of vitality to excrete the amber lead components accumulated in the body. With the first successful case, Andy quickly improved some plans, such as adding nutritional supplements and potassium salt solution, which can enhance the body's self-recovery and allow the lead to be excreted from the body faster. My lie only takes 53 hours to complete the body's detoxification and self-repair. Unfortunately, both of them knew very well that this solution could only be used by a few people, because it would take about 50 years of life force to treat one person, which was really too luxurious. With the size of the Freefans remnants, there is simply no way to popularize them all. Andy did not even ask Noah to use this method to treat the 2 children because his medical ethics did not allow him to make such a request. The couple can use this method of treatment to ensure that they can survive. Whether they eat the fruits of the operation or develop other treatment plans, they require continuous efforts by the couple, so they cannot die. But Noah still asked the couple to treat Luo in advance. The reason is very simple. Noah needs Luo to attract the fruits of the operation. As a user with the surgical fruit ability in the original timeline, Luo and the surgical fruit are the result of a mutual choice. And in order to stimulate Luo's desire for the surgical fruit, Noah told Luo that the illness of his sister Lammy and a group of orphan companions required the use of the surgical fruit to be completely cured. Stayed in the kingdom of Lubnar for more than half a month. While Luo was learning medical skills from his parents, he was also learning physical skills and domineering skills from Noah. Of course, Noah did not relax his ideological education. He not only taught 5 books of dragon slaying, but also combined it with the cruel reality of the kingdom of free fans, allowing Luo to further understand the world and the hopelessness of the celestial dragons and nobles. Inside the Nautilus, Luo was blindfolded and his head was full of bruises. Alii, who was in charge of beating bamboo strips, asked with a smile, "Luo, do you want to take a rest?" "No, I can still persist," Luo shouted stubbornly. Snap. "Ah, you're distracted." At this time, Andy and Milai were not in the Nautilus. They were both assigned to West Cassis Island, where they were responsible for researching IQ grass and other drugs. Noah crossed off another island from the chart. Obviously, this is another island where devil fruit does not exist. More than 2 months passed unknowingly. The turmoil of the Free Fans incident was gradually submerged by the tide of the times. The CP6 agents lurking in the Iron Bucket Kingdom also sat on the bench for more than 2 months. However, these agents did not give up and continued to lurk there. It's noon on this day. In order to avoid a large sea iceberg, the Nautilus changed course and came to the island in front of it. "Brother, there is a small village on the other side of this island." Noah's eyes flickered. "I know there is a devil fruit on this island." Devil fruit? Alii wasn't too surprised, because in the past 2 months, they found another devil fruit on a desert island, which was in the form of a sheep fruit of the ordinary animal type. At present, the fruits that the Noah family has but has not eaten include carp fruit, red fox fruit, rattlesnake fruit, paste fruit, bully dog fruit, and sheep fruit, and the animal type accounts for the vast majority. "Are we going to hunt for treasure again?" Luo asked excitedly. "Don't be careless. Go to the island," Noah reminded, then put away the Nautilus and landed with R and Luo. The residents of this small island were on the other side, and Noah was always paying close attention to what was happening around him, so their landing did not attract the attention of the locals. After climbing over mountains and ridges and searching for treasure in the mountains and forests for a day, they did not find the devil fruit, but the 3 of them were very calm about this. The search continued the next day until we were near the edge of the village. In a large peach forest, Luo saw a red heart-shaped fruit, and it was covered with tangrass patterns. These features were obviously the surgical fruit that he had been thinking about. He quickly called Noah and R. When Noah saw the fruit, he knew it was the fruit of surgery. Luo ate this fruit. Luo was a little hesitant. "If I give this fruit to my father, will he be able to master the ability to save people faster?" "Your father is not suitable for this fruit. Don't you think it would be more meaningful to save Lammy yourself?" After hearing Noah's persuasion, Luo quickly became determined, picked up the surgery fruit, and ate it. Although he knew that the devil fruit was unpalatable, Luo obviously underestimated its unpalatableness. As soon as he ate the whole fruit, he immediately lay on the ground and retched, "Ugh, it tastes so bad." Noah picked a few peaches for Luo, and then placed a 500 Pele coin on the tree trunk. The group came and went quietly into Chapter 43. After obtaining the fruits of the operation, Noah and his team drove the Nautilus to continue sneaking in North Blue. Due to the existence of the Arctic Circle and the Arctic ice cap, the north of North Blue is almost full of ice and snow, and the climate is similar to that of Drum Island in the Iron Bucket Kingdom. The Nautilus's sneaking in it was not so smooth because there were too many submarine icebergs or undersea undercurrents in this sea area. After passing through Laboon Island and heading north, there will no longer be countries that are members of the world government. Because the land in the Arctic region is barren, they are basically small countries of fishing and hunting tribes. For example, the more famous Amos guys are a well-known fishing and hunting group in the region. Noah took Luo and Rei to visit several small tribes of Amos guys, and then turned to sail southwest again. Half a month later, they arrived at Kayan Island and found Bibo, a fur tribe child who had wandered here, as well as several other orphans, including Pekin and Xiachi, who later became the Heart Pirates. Over the past month, Luo has become more and more proficient in the application of surgical fruits. Especially with Noah's guidance, Luo's development of the surgical fruit will be faster and more comprehensive than the original timeline. After all, the concept involved in the fruit of surgery is surgery, or the conceptual thinking of surgical medical technology. At this point, Noah can provide Luo with a lot of reference ideas. For example, in the fields of X-rays, ultrasound, nuclear magnetic resonance, protons and heavy ions, and gamma rays, it would be difficult for Luo, who has not been exposed to these medical technologies, to develop related derivative capabilities. But with Noah's advice, the result would be different. Although Luo's physical strength at this time is not enough to support him to use the derived abilities of X-rays, gamma rays, and proton-heavy ions, the two types of nuclear magnetic resonance and ultrasound, the derived abilities are initially ready for use. In the northern wilderness of Cayenne Island, Luo used ultrasonic waves and the newly awakened Haki to quickly avoid Ailey's attack. Even though the surgery fruit has the special spatial ability of the operating room, which allows Luo to gain the ability to move in space within a certain range, he still cannot 100% avoid Ailey's attack. The panting Luo is very aware of his shortcomings. Physical strength is the foundation of the fruit's ability. If the physical strength is not enough, even if the devil fruit's ability is very powerful, it will appear extremely stretched. This can be seen from Ace and Sabo's use of the Xiaoxiao fruit. At the same time, the gap between knowledge and S*X is another reason why Luo cannot avoid Ali's attack. Not far away, Bibo, Peijin, Xiaoqi and others were also practicing physical skills. Noah is setting up a temporary base underground on Cayenne Island, using the caves excavated by R these days. Although most of the Noah family's power is in the East China Sea, it does not mean that they will give up the other three sea areas. At this time, Noah and Ajay were trying a special device. On the top of the stone mountain above the cave, more than a dozen dead trees grow between the gaps in the stones. If you look carefully, you can find that the surface of these dead trees is densely covered with tiny black crystals. This is the modified graphene crystal modified by Ajay's ability. Its characteristic is that it absorbs the surrounding electromagnetic wave signals and then transmits these received electromagnetic wave signals to the underground cave. Then several specially cultivated phone bugs are used to decipher this information. In fact, in order to cultivate this kind of secret-stealing phone bug that specializes in decoding, the Noah family sacrificed hundreds of phone bugs and also used IQ components and considerable vitality to successfully cultivate more than a dozen secret-stealing phone bugs. The first phone tapping station was set up on West Cassis Island. Cayenne Island was the second phone tapping station. As the line was connected, Ajay and several Urin who joined the Noah family began an intense test. This kind of secret theft is not done blindly, but requires specific planning and skills. It can be divided into 6 offices: number locking, relationship mapping, VIP classification, specialized tracking, information analysis, and overall coordination. For those ordinary forces phone bug communications, the eavesdropping station will definitely not focus on them. The forces that really need the eavesdropping station to pay close attention to are either the world government, CP organizations, Marines, or regional hegemons, revolutionary armies, and big forces, pirates. For example, in North Blue, the first batch of forces selected by Noah as his focus targets were the Vinsmoke family, Don Quixote family, and Lieutenant General Marine Crane. As for how to determine the phone numbers of these forces, the answer is keyword monitoring. For example, regarding the Don Quixote family, based on Noah's information, as long as the other party mentioned Dover, Young Master, Don Quixote, Pika, and Diaman during the phone conversation, if he used terms such as Tia and Torpole, the recorder will initially lock the number and then continue to pay attention to it for a period of time until the identity of the owner behind it can be determined. Although there are anti-phone bugs in the pirate world, this thing has not been widely used, mainly due to production and strict government control. Moreover, many forces rarely use anti-eavesdropping phone bugs in their daily telephone communications. This gave the Noah family the opportunity to eavesdrop on their phone calls. Sure enough, on the morning of the 4th day when the Cayenne Island listening station was put into use, a phone bug signal from Marine was eavesdropped. Originally, the recorder didn't notice the problem at first. It was not until the exchange of this phone signal that the whereabouts of Lieutenant General he appeared, as well as the mention of terms such as young master and family, that the recorder paid attention to it. Soon, during the continuous monitoring of these two numbers, the phone bug numbers of the entire Don Quixote family were quickly locked down, including even some of the phone bug numbers of North Blue's underground forces. Doflamingo, who was evading the pursuit of Lieutenant General He, didn't know that his phone number was locked. The eavesdropping station recorded some of the valuable intelligence. Noah, who was browsing this information, suddenly discovered a very valuable piece of content. Recording time, July 22nd, 1505 in the Haiyuan calendar. Call parties, Doflamingo and Diamante call record. A girl suspected of being a devil fruit user was found in the Angupo Islands. Her ability may be that of the snow fruit. Are they Monet and sugar? Noah took a look at the North Blue map and found that the Angupo Islands were not too far from Kayan Island, only about 976 kilometers away. Then he recalled some information about Monet and the Sugar Sisters. This year is 1505. Monet should be 13 years old, and Sugar is 5 years old. Monet ate the snowy fruit at this time, but there should be no sugar, because the childlike fruit has a characteristic, that is, the moment the fruit is eaten, the body's age will be fixed. In the original timeline, Sugar's physical age was 10 years old. In other words, Sugar should have eaten the childlike fruit at the age of 10. Although he did not eat the childlike fruit, Noah did not intend to give up the two of them to Doflamingo. Now Doflamingo and his family members are avoiding the pursuit of the crane and have no time to find the two Monet sisters. He can just seize the opportunity. Noah quickly ordered Eri and others to set sail. Soon the Nautilus was heading towards the Angupo Islands at full speed. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. End of chapter. Chapter 44. A few days later, on one of the inhabited islands of the Angupo archipelago, Noah and others disguised themselves as businessmen and appeared in a bar in the town. The bartender poured Noah a glass of rum and asked half-jokingly, "This gentleman is a bit unfamiliar. He shouldn't be from our Angupo kingdom, right?" "Haha, good eyesight." Noah casually placed a silver coin on the counter. When the bartender saw this scene, the smile on his face became even brighter, and he calmly accepted the silver coins. "Sir, what news do you need?" "I heard that there is a famous gin distillery in Angupo. If I need to buy gin from them, what should I prepare?" The bartender shook his head. "Sir, you are late. That winery has been acquired by someone. It seems that the previous owner was killed by pirates." Of course no one knew about this. He even knew that the winery owner was secretly killed by Diamanti in order to annex the winery. Oh, someone actually bought it? It's really troublesome, but are there many pirates near the Angupo kingdom? The bartender smiled bitterly. There have been a lot of pirates in recent years, and there were even 2 small towns that were destroyed by pirates. These damn scum of the ocean are so unscrupulous. Noah complained duplicitously. The bartender also complained, "Yes, but these pirates will face retribution sooner or later." Half a month ago, a pirate group was killed by a snow demon on Macade Island, and they were all frozen into ice sculptures. Snow demon? What is this? I don't know. I just heard from a few passing businessmen that pirate ships were often attacked this year on several islands near Macade Island, and the killed pirates were turned into ice sculptures. I see. It seems that I have to avoid this island to avoid being attacked by the snow demon. After getting the answer he wanted, Noah quickly left the bar and quickly led people to Macade Island. At the same time, Diamanti also took several peripheral members of the Don Quixote family to secretly search for the so-called snow demon on Macade Island. Unfortunately, the range of Diamanti's knowledge was too small. In addition, the manpower brought over this time was insufficient, and the operation could not be carried out with great fanfare, so the search mission progressed very slowly. When Noah and his party landed on Macade Island, Diamanti had not yet found any trace of the 2 sisters, Monet and Sugar. However, Noah's extremely large-scale knowledge, and color were the last to arrive, and he directly targeted more than a dozen targets. These people were all together. After screening out these people, he further refined them. Based on the gender, age, and fruit abilities of Monet and Sugar, Noah soon locked their specific locations. Less than 10 minutes. In a mountain forest in the northwest of Macade Island, a girl was cutting venison, and next to her was a little girl of 5 or 6 years old. Noah and several others fell from the sky. "Who are you?" Monet was shocked, and his body tensed up instantly. His hands were already gathering snowflakes in the dark, while protecting his sister behind him. "Are you the snow fruit user?" Noah glanced at the frozen deer, and then looked at the emerald green hair of Monet and Sugar. "Blizzard." Monet took action without hesitation. "You damn pirates! Go to hell." However, the violent snowstorm, for Noah, who was fully armed with domineering force, was like a breeze blowing on his face, and the ice was instantly shaken away by the domineering force. Monet's pupils shrank, and he quickly picked up his sister and fled deep into the forest. However, the next moment, the 2 sisters felt that the sky was dark and the earth was dark, as if there was a force pressing on them, causing them to fall to the ground. Even the elemental transformations were unable to fight back. Noah's conqueror's impact subdued both of them at once. However, Noah did not go over immediately. Instead, he turned around and ordered, "Arii, Luo, take them back to the Nautilus first
Yes.
Okay, brother Noah. Luo instantly moved behind Monet and slapped her back with his palm. Immediately, part of Monet's nerves were anesthetized and his whole vision went dark. Rei picked up the trembling sugar, opened the wormhole, and left with Luo and the two prisoners. 10 minutes later, in the forest, several figures appeared in front of Noah, but at this time, Noah had changed his clothes to a white suit and a white mask. Diamante was a little surprised when she saw Noah dressed in this outfit. Is it someone from CP? However, the next second, Noah took action directly, and a conqueror's impact stunned the members of the Don Quixote family except Diamante, including the phone bugs they carried, and they were also stunned. At this time, Diamante's face changed drastically. Conquerors domineering? Impossible. You are not a CP person. It's a pity that Noah doesn't have the habit of talking nonsense, so he threw away more than a dozen seawater cards. Diamante quickly waved the western sword and prepared to release various stored weapons. But he never expected that the moment those cards were stabbed by his sword, the seawater sealed inside would burst out instantly. What? Seawater? Diamante was shocked, but it was too late to escape. The seawater instantly affected Diamante, and soon he felt the weakness of his body, and then fell into a coma. Noah picked up Diamante from the sea, then put it in an iron bucket, and finally sealed it in the card. After doing all this, Noah silenced the members of the Don Quixote family who were present before letting Alii pull him back into the Nautilus. Inside the cabin, Monet, who had woken up, looked at her calf soaked in seawater. She looked very unhappy and looked at her sister Sugar worriedly. Noah looked at the girl in front of him and asked with a smile, "Are you interested in joining my family?" "Join you? Haha, you damn pirates." Monet cursed through gritted teeth. "Who told you that we are pirates?" Monet couldn't react at once. "What? You are not pirates? Our Noah family are serious people. How could we be pirates?" Noah explained with a smile. "Haha, do you invite people like this? I don't think you are good people." Monet immediately mocked, but she didn't see her sister eating grapes not far away. Apparently, Sugar had forgotten other things and was concentrating on eating the grapes and cheese biscuits on the plate. When she heard the sound of eating coming from beside her, she noticed that her sister Sugar was eating. Her heart suddenly sank. When she thought of her sister, Monet had to choose to compromise. "As long as you are willing to take us in, I am willing to work for you, but the premise is that we cannot be forced to do things we don't like. My sister cannot work for you until she reaches adulthood." Noah didn't pay much attention to this. After all, the training system of the Noah family is enough to change many of the two sisters' ideas. At the same time, Noah is also very confident. As long as Monet agrees, he has many ways to win the other's heart. Soon Noah untied the seawater barrel from Monet's calves. As for whether the other party will take the opportunity to destroy the Nautilus nut, as long as Monet is not stupid, he should know that his current location is at the bottom of the sea. Once the structure of the submarine is destroyed, the two sisters will definitely die. Noah and others can leave through Arse wormhole. This is Noah's confidence end of Chapter 45. The captured Diamante soon became Noah's fourth apostle. Knight of the Sword, Diamante, Flowing Fruit, plus the three previous apostles. Devil Pan Button, Exchange Fruit, King of Wands, Big Bear, Steel Fruit, Servant of Wands, Brian, Ocelot Fruit. This made Noah's power even stronger, and with the development of the fruit and the strengthening of his body, he can now not only summon the apostles to help fight and do things, but also borrow the apostles' fruit abilities. Of course, this kind of borrowing has certain limitations. For example, you can only borrow the power of one fruit at a time. During the period of using the apostle's fruit power, the apostle cannot be summoned, and the physical strength he needs to consume will also double. Brian is currently based at Rum Kingdom's training camp. Barton assisted Uncle Joseph in Rum City, the capital of the Rum Kingdom, and managed the entire Rum Kingdom. Big Bear and Diamante were carried by Noah. Among them, Big Bear's Steel Fruit, as a superhuman-type fruit similar to the Slippery Fruit, is a good supplement for Noah, whose physical strength is not too strong. Diamante also cannot be summoned casually. The reason is that the Paper of Life, the core member of the Don Quixote family, is in the hands of Doflamingo. Once Diamante appears in the form of an apostle, the Paper of Life can sense its whereabouts. Therefore, Diamante can only be maintained in a card state so that the life paper cannot sense its position. If Noah borrows Diamante's fruit ability, the Paper of Life will also not be able to sense it. In fact, the fruit ability of the flying fruit is pretty good, and it even has certain spatial abilities, such as turning items into cloth state, which is a kind of space compression. Diamanti has only developed some abilities to smash iron balls, iron thorns, and iron cloth, which is really the result of too little reading. With the power of the Don Quixote family, it is not easy to prepare a lot of bombs, gas bombs, incendiary bombs, glass water tanks, etc., and then compress these things into a cloth state, which can completely achieve something similar to the card fruit. Space storage. However, Diamanti did not develop in this direction. Instead, he combined the nondescript fruit ability with swordsmanship. The fruit ability was poorly developed, and the swordsmanship was at the level of an ordinary swordsman. In the end, it was neither above nor below. In Noah's view, the ability to fly fruits has a certain strategic nature. As an auxiliary and long-range attack, it is the positioning of its ability. Swordsmanship and physical skills do not need to be the main force. You only need to ensure that you can escape and avoid the enemy. Attack. As for the steel fruit, Noah's core development direction is in steel experiments and high heat reactions. As a superhuman-type ability, the steel fruit itself cannot create steel or manipulate steel outside the body, but it can simulate its own body into steel. The term steel does not only refer to iron, but also includes steel. Steel is an alloy material with iron as the main body. It involves a lot of knowledge, and it is really difficult for ordinary people to develop it. For example, the properties of low-carbon steel, medium-carbon steel, and high-carbon steel are different. Among them, high-carbon steel can make springs, which means that the steel fruit in the high-carbon steel state has the ability to realize the spring fruit. Another example is that in the state of pure iron, the high temperature limit of steel fruit can reach 1,535 degrees Celsius. Before the rock berry is fully awakened, the extreme temperature is only about 1,400 degrees Celsius, which cannot melt the steel fruit at all. Another example is that in the state of a rubidium magnet, the steel fruit can achieve some strong magnetic capabilities and can even generate electricity in the body. There are also stainless steel, silicon steel, high manganese steel, and so on. All in all, the steel fruit not only includes the steel itself, but also the derivative directions of high heat reaction, magnetic field power generation, and specular reflection. This is the power of wisdom. Time flies like an arrow, and time flies like a shuttle. Unknowingly, the new year has arrived again. This time is January 1st, 1506 in the Haiyuan calendar. After wandering around North Blue for half a year, Noah and his team not only strengthened their strength, but also found 3 devil fruits during the journey. Of course, during this period, Noah also captured 2 pirates with devil fruits. In the past half year, North Blue has become even more turbulent. The reason was naturally the disappearance of Diamanti, which made Doflamingo very angry. The other party mobilized the underground forces of the Don Quixote family to search for Diamanti's whereabouts throughout the North Blue and capture the murderer behind Diamanti. In addition, Marine led by Crane is also hunting Doflamingo in North Blue, making the situation of the Don Quixote family even more precarious. However, these things did not affect Noah. After all, Noah was so domineering at this time that his all-round coverage radius had reached 120 kilometers, and his single-directional sensing limit could reach about 600 kilometers. The reason why it can be improved to such an exaggerated level is naturally because Noah combined the ability of the steel fruit to build a rubidium magnet pattern in the body, and the blood flow generates electric current to achieve electromagnetic wave amplification, which can achieve something similar to the thunder fruit. The color enhancement effect of seeing and hearing. With such a wide coverage area, as long as Noah doesn't want to be discovered by others, he can change his route in advance or hide himself to prevent others from discovering his whereabouts. Noah and his team returned to the secret base of Rum Kingdom. While celebrating the new year, we also let new members and old members get to know each other. The old members of the family include Noah, Uncle Joseph, Cousin Joshua, Anthony, Tamani, Vic, R, Ajay, Lilith, Lillian, and Mary, a total of 11 people. The new members include Andy, Mai Lai, Luo, and Lamy's family, the fur white bears Bibo, Pecan, and Xia Chi, as well as the sisters Monet and Sugar, a total of 9 people. As for the apostles such as Barton and Brian, they can only be regarded as part of Noah and do not belong to the category of complete human beings. Those peripheral members are also not qualified to participate in this annual meeting. After all, the core level of the Noah family involves too many secrets and is not suitable for these people to know. This is also to protect them. Finally, there are the absorbed feathermen, 388 people in total, the training camp Boy Scouts, 321 people in total, and the people just selected from the Free Fans remnants, 261 people in total. These people actually belong to the Noah family. Mid-level members. Noah looked at the family members gathered together and picked up the grape juice. Everyone, today is hard one for the family. I hope we can all witness the coming of a new era. Cheers. Cheers. Everyone cheered happily. After drinking the grape juice, Noah continued with a smile. Nowadays, the family is getting bigger and bigger, and I am going to conduct a comprehensive combing of the family. Uncle Joseph also echoed. Noah is right. The family really needs to be readjusted now. My idea is this. First, the family should set up a round table meeting and select 7 people to be the rotating elders of the round table meeting to assist me in handling affairs. The 7 elders manage 7 departments respectively. These 7 departments are the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the Ministry of Military Affairs, the Ministry of Commerce, the Ministry of Supervision, the Ministry of Science and Education, the Ministry of Industry, and the Ministry of Resources. Everyone listened attentively. I appointed Lilith to be in charge of the Ministry of Internal Affairs and responsible for the family's internal affairs management. Joshua is the head of the military department and Anthony is the chief of staff, responsible for managing the family's armed forces and military construction. Uncle Joseph is the head of the commercial department, responsible for the family's commercial business and also the management of the Rum Kingdom. Mary is the head of the inspection department and Tomini, as the deputy, is responsible for internal supervision and is also responsible for the intelligence work of the winery. The Ministry of Science and Education is temporarily in charge of my apostle Brian. The Department of Industry is in charge of Ajay, and the Department of Resources is in charge of Ale. Noah paused for a while and continued. At the same time, we need to divide the family members into 5 levels: Patriarch, Elder, Cadre, Elite, and Newcomer. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. End of chapter. Chapter 46. In addition to Uncle Joseph, Joshua, Lilith, Mary, R., and Ajay who became elders, Tomini, Anthony, Vic, and Lillian became cadre members. Andy, Luo, Mai Lai, Monet, Pei Jean, and Xiaoqi became elite members. As for Sugar, Lammy, and Bibo, they can only become newcomers because they are too young. Noah previously collected 3 more devil fruits from North Blue, namely the childlike fruit, the art fruit, and the crow fruit. Among them, the art fruit was given to Tomini, who had always hoped to obtain a gorgeous devil fruit ability. As soon as Noah got the fruit, he asked to give it to him. Although Noah feels that the development of art fruit is a bit difficult, the idea of developing this fruit is very strange and requires people with artistic abilities and even more imagination. Since Tomini wants to eat, Noah will naturally not object. The remaining 2 fruits, the childlike fruit, were intended for Granu, but at this time Granu was too young. Once he ate the childlike fruit, his body's age would be fixed, so he planned to wait until Granu was about 17 years old, and then give him the childlike fruit. Give her this fruit. As for the animal-type crow fruit, like many animal-type fruits obtained before, it was temporarily sealed in the card by Noah, and can be rewarded to some contributing family members in the future. With the family reorganization completed, the new year has passed. Inside the biology laboratory on West Cassis Island, Andy and Luo looked at the blond old man who was soaked in the sea water, with a trace of surprise and fear on their faces. Don't worry, he has been controlled by me. Let's get started now. Noah spoke while focusing on the golden lion. After more than half a year of training, Luo has initially mastered the ability of the surgical fruit. The part of Free Fan survivors that was released before was cured by Luo through the ability of the surgical fruit. Now Noah finally plans to take action on the golden lion. Luo concentrated his concentration, instantly opened up the operating room area, cut the unconscious golden lion's head into 8 pieces, and then cleaned out the boat rotor embedded in the head bit by bit. Andy, on the other hand, was paying attention to the status of the body monitoring equipment to prevent the golden lion from dying suddenly. Time passed minute by minute. The ship in the golden lion's head was also being cleared away little by little, until the last fragment stuck in the brain was removed. With quick eyesight and quick hands, Luo raised his knife and quickly cut off the golden lion's frontal lobe. After removing the prefrontal lobe, Luo nodded to Noah. Proceed as planned. I understand. Noah's family. Luo immediately injected the improved IQ extract into the golden lion, plus a special life serum, which allowed the golden lion's body to recover quickly. The next step is the highlight, because Luo needs to repair the nerves and blood vessels in the golden lion's brain that were damaged by the ship to avoid leaving hidden dangers. The operation lasted more than 3 hours. Fortunately, there is IQ extract and life serum. Otherwise, even if the golden lion is successfully transformed, its strength will be greatly reduced. After completing the surgical transformation, the golden lion not only removed the boat weight on the top of his head, but also eliminated all the hidden injuries and deficiencies in the body, and also attached a pair of healthy feet. Even without emotion and conquerors, the golden lion is still domineering and showy at this time. Noah quickly threw the emperor from the major arcana deck to the sleeping golden lion. A golden cocoon of light surrounds the golden lion. Soon a brand new apostle appeared in front of Noah. Emperor, Shiki, Piao Piao fruit. When Shiki opened his eyes, he had sorted out the remaining memories of the golden lion, and coupled with the memory given by Noah, he already understood his identity. Shiki, who was kneeling on one knee, looked at Noah with fanatical eyes. "My lord, your loyal subordinate Shiki sends my regards. Arise, my apostle." Noah's conquerors climbed further. With Shiki as an apostle, this means that Noah's strength has officially entered the general level. Although Apostle Shiki lost his conquerors, his weapon color and knowledge color were restored, and his physical strength and vitality were restored to their peak. Coupled with the ability of the Piao Piao fruit and the strength of the dual swordsman swordmaster, his strength that's the general level. Of course, due to the loss of Conqueror's haki, it is difficult for Apostle Shiki to return to his true peak. He has no way to suppress the general and can only be compared with him. Even so, Shiki's strength is still terrifyingly strong, and the strategic significance of the Piao Piao fruit is extraordinary. At this time, the Noah family was truly invincible. There are Shiki's fluttering fruit, Diamante's fluttering fruit, and Arske fruit, which allow the family to cover the whole world in terms of rapid transfer and material transportation. The Noah family will also be protected from future sea level rise crises. The more important thing is to obtain safe access to various sky islands. For example, the thunder fruit that Noah has always been thinking about is on the sky island Burka. Originally, he planned to go to the top of West Blue, go to Sky Island from there, and then look for Burka. Now it doesn't have to be so troublesome. And with the ability to flutter fruits, the Noah family does not need to worry about the Poseidon species in the windless zone. They can enter the Grand Line Paradise directly from the East China Sea, or enter the Grand Line New World from North Blue. After Noah encouraged Luo and Andy, he took Shiki, R, and Tamani to leave Circassus Island. Using the Piao Piao fruit to control the Nautilus, it crossed the windless zone from the East China Sea and entered the Paradise section of the Grand Line. The Nautilus, which was hidden high in the sky, was camouflaged by Tamani using the fruit's ability. Even the Morgans, who had eyes all over the world, had no way of discovering its whereabouts. After entering the Grand Route Paradise, Noah and his party, who had already collected the permanent pointer to Gaia Island, did not hesitate and headed straight for Gaia Island. According to Noah's analysis, Enel most likely did not eat the thunder fruit at this time, because according to the description of the original timeline, Enel destroyed his hometown Burka around 1514, and then led his men to occupy Angel Island. With Enel's character, if he gets the thunder fruit, he will definitely not be able to endure it for too long, and will destroy Burka in about a year or two at most. In other words, the time point when Enel obtained the thunder fruit would not be earlier than 1512 at the earliest. It was only the beginning of 1506, and it had been at least 6 years since the other party ate the thunder fruit. This gave Noah the opportunity to get there first. 3 days later, high altitude near Gaia Island. Through seeing and hearing, Noah has sensed the huge cumulus emperor clouds over Gaia Island, as well as the islands and creatures above. Under the influence of the Piao Piao fruit, the Nautilus quickly rose upwards and soon broke through the sea clouds and the emperor cumulus. Without taking the Nautilus, ordinary Esper users would not be able to break through the imperial cumulus cloud, because this cloud contains the composition of sea tower stone, which can cause Esper users to lose their power. 7,000 meters above the White Sea, an invisible silhouette suddenly rushed out of the sea of clouds. The surrounding Kukai beasts were also deterred by an invisible aura and quickly fled the nearby White Sea. The Nautilus had removed its artistic disguise, revealing its silver-gray steel shell. However, the Nautilus did not stop, but continued to float along the cloud flow towards the gate of heaven. End of Chapter 47. Angel Island. Noah and Tamani, who got off the Nautilus, and a dozen accompanying feathered air cavalry soldiers, walked on the lovely avenue. Although the surrounding Sky Island people looked at Noah and his group curiously, they did not show much hostility. On the contrary, there were several shop owners who were selling Sky Island specialties to everyone. Noah picked up a hot shell and observed it carefully. "Brother, these shells are really interesting." Tamani also held several empty island shells with different functions and stroked them curiously. "Right now, At the end of the street not far away, a group of Skylanders soldiers and a skinny old man walked towards the crowd. Noah actually knew the other party's movements a long time ago, but in the face of absolute power, the Sky Islanders' movements were meaningless. The current god of Sky Island, Gon Fuel, came not far from Noah and asked tentatively, "Guests from Qinghai, I wonder how you arrived at Sky Island? Are you the god of Sky Island?" "Bold," a priest shouted angrily. However, Noah did not choose to calm down the matter, but directly released Conqueror's domineering power. The terrifying yet relatively restrained Conqueror's domineering force instantly made the surrounding Sky Islanders look horrified, especially Gon 4. His face became even more panicked, and his posture immediately lowered. "My lord, it was our fault just now. Please forgive us for our offense." Noah smiled and shook his head. "You should have seen Conqueror's domineering aura, which is the kind of aura that Roger has." "Roger? Do you know Roger?" Gon 4 asked quickly. Noah glanced at the old man. "Who on the sea doesn't know Roger now? It's a pity that he is now a big pirate with a lot of crimes." "Forget it. There is no need to discuss a dead man." "Big pirate? Dead man? Did Roger pass away?" Gon 4 looked a little complicated. "He was executed by the world government 8 years ago, but he also joined the world government before he died." Noah put down the empty island shell in his hand and continued. "Now let's get down to business." Gon 4 suddenly became a little nervous. "Sir, our Sky Island is very barren, and there are no treasures that you Qinghai people like. If you need it, I can give you some Sky Island shells as a gift." "Really? There are a lot of things on your God's Island," Noah reminded with a smile. In an instant, Gon 4 broke out in a cold sweat. "Sir, there is indeed some gold on the Island of Gods. I can give that gold to you. I hope you can forgive us." "Haha, you are very aware of current affairs, but I not only want gold, I also want the entire Sky Island. Are you willing to abdicate and make way for someone worthy of your position?" "What?" Gon 4 was naturally reluctant in his heart, but he did not dare to show it at this time. After all, Noah had put too much pressure on him just now, so he hurriedly complained. "Sir, our Sky Island is very barren and cannot bring you any benefits." "Who said that rule must be for benefits?" Noah did not intend to exploit the people of Kongdao at all. His purpose was to establish a unified country, and Kongdao could not be an exception. Facing Noah's strength, Gon 4 was unwilling, but in order to avoid angering Noah, he finally chose to surrender, just like he later faced the invincible Enel. Soon Angel Island, including the Sky Islanders living on God's Island, a total of 3,259 people, were gathered together. On a temporary high platform, Noah looked at the more than 3,000 Sky Islanders in the small square, and he opened his hands. "Dear Sky Island residents, hello. I am your new god Noah. From today on, we are a family. You will all become citizens of the Kingdom of the Dawn. Our land of Dawn is a country of equality, freedom, fairness, and harmony. It is also a country that strives for self-improvement and is not afraid of power. I have a dream. I hope that one day, everyone can live under the sun. I have a dream. I hope that one day, all intelligent races, whether ordinary people, feathered people, Skylanders, or fish people, can coexist peacefully. I have a dream. I hope that one day, the Sky Island people can have their own land, the fish people can bathe in the sun, and humans can sail freely on the sea. I have a dream. I hope that one day, children will not have to live on the streets and can go to school. Young people can realize their ambitions and dreams, and old people can spend their old age in peace and reminisce about their youth under the sunset." Noah's impassioned speech and his powerful wave made many Sky Islanders even feel a little excited. "I will use my life to practice my beliefs and dreams." As soon as he finished speaking, a desert island about the same size as God's Island fell from the sky and slowly landed next to Angel Island. "My family, from today on, you will live on this land." The residents of Angel Island suddenly became excited. "Really? Great. So many bays. God Noah. God Noah. Long live." Gon 4 on the side smiled bitterly in his heart. He did not expect that Noah would give away a soil island when he made a move. You must know that for the Sky Islanders, gold is not as valuable as iron, and mud is the treasure of the Sky Islanders. Noah, who had just taken office, immediately gained the admiration of many Sky Islanders. After all, the former Sky Island god had very strict control over the soil on the God's Island, and even ordinary Sky Islanders were not allowed to enter. Now there was a judgment between Noah and the previous gods. After taking down all the Sky Islanders on Angel Island, Noah immediately transferred the feathered people who had been placed on West Cassis Island before. More than 2,000 feathered people joined in, plus the priest army that annexed the original Angel Island. Let the manpower on Sky Island become relatively sufficient. Noah set up the Sky Islands in this area as the Paradise Sky Governor's District and placed 3 desert islands near Angel Island. One of the desert islands was the Lion Island that was the former Golden Lion's base camp. The Paradise Sky Governor's Mansion was established on Lion Island, which has jurisdiction over 5 Sky Islands: Lion Island, Angel Island, Feather Island, Field Island, and Shangaya Island, Island of the Gods. Regarding the previous location of the temple, the so-called Island of Gods, Noah directly renamed it Shangaya Island. He planned to use this island to resettle the Sandians after conquering the Sandians. After all, this place was originally the ancestral land of the Sandians. In fact, for the mutation near Angel Island, the Sandians, who have been trying to regain their ancestral land, have discovered the new Sky Islands that suddenly appeared around Angel Island. It was just that they didn't understand the specific situation for a while, so the Sandians didn't dare to act rashly. But even if they don't move, Noah will soon take the initiative to find them. After all, Noah will not allow the Sandians to continue to harass, which is not conducive to the management and stability of the Paradise Sky Governor's Mansion. Other side. After the Feather Tribe evacuated the settlement area on West Cassis Island, Luo brought some of the Free Fans remnants to take over. There are currently more than 3,000 Frevan survivors placed on West Cassis Island, and they have all been treated for the lead disease one after another. For these people, the lead disease can be cured and they can accept leaving their hometown. As for the money being taken away, they have no objection to it. After all, the internal currency of West Cassis Island is Don Yuan, and they have no way to trade with the outside world, so Bailey naturally has no value. End of chapter. Chapter 48. Northwest of Angel Island, about 2 kilometers in the Sea of Clouds. 3 Sandian warriors covered in artificial clouds were carefully observing not far away. Suddenly, the 3 of them saw hundreds of air cavalry and a large wooden boat approaching rapidly in their direction. No, we've been discovered. Let's go. Lucky, who was still a little green, changed his face. Mantis Kamachili and Braham reacted immediately. However, a voice sounded behind the 3 of them. Good morning, gentlemen and ladies. Tamani appeared behind a few people with a smile. Mantis immediately waved the burning sword, but the next second, his burning sword only split a phantom, and Tamani's body disappeared with the wind. Visual art, palette. In an instant, dozens of Tamani appeared around a few people. Explosive burning slash. As if facing a formidable enemy, the mantis launched an indiscriminate sweep in all directions. Visual art, the upside-down corridor. In an instant, the surrounding environment seemed to be turned upside down. The colorful Madara Mangekyo stairs enveloped the 3 people from all directions. Mantis, Lucky, and Braham are back to back. Soon, however, they felt dizzy, surrounded by the Mangekyo stairs, with intense hypnosis and visual disruption effects. At this time, they had fallen into an illusion and had no way to escape. The next moment, the surrounding Mangekyo stairs turned into countless petals and scattered, but Lucky, Mantis, and Braham found that their hands and feet had been shackled. When did it happen? Lucky was very surprised. Tamani smiled and strolled out of the void. The moment you hear my voice. But the praying mantis, who had just woken up from a dream, discovered a key point. Without wings, you are not an islander. Tamani, have you had enough fun? Bring them up. After hearing Noah's reminder, Tamani lifted the 3 of them up and moonwalked back to the deck of the wooden ship. Mantis saw Noah basking in the sun on the deck, but his face was very solemn, because he felt a terrifying aura from Noah. Noah glanced at the other person and had no intention of talking to him. The wooden boats and air cavalry troops quickly advanced northwest. It spans about 37 kilometers of the White Sea. Noah and his party came to a piece of White Sea that looked ordinary. But soon, a large group of Sandia people rushed out of the nearby Bye-Bye Sea, including Weepa, who had just become a great warrior, and the chief of the Sandia tribe. Noah stood on the deck and looked at the Sandians who were surrounding him. This is Yunin village. Seeing Mantis, Lucky, and others tied up on the deck, Weepa couldn't suppress his inner anger and rushed towards Noah with the weapons made by Kong Dao Bei. Qinghai people, hand over Mantis and the others. Don't overestimate your own capabilities. The next moment, a violent conqueror's domineering impact hit all Sandians. Weepa, who was the first to bear the brunt, looked like pig liver. Even though he gritted his teeth, He was still suppressed and unable to move. The other Sandians fell into one another, looking at the figure on the deck with horrified eyes. The aging chief immediately stood up and said, "Sir, we did not mean to offend you. Please forgive us for our rudeness." "Okay, I don't want to hear your so-called history. I just bring you a brand new future. I don't know if you are willing to accept it?" Noah asked with a half-smile. The chief and Weepa, who were brought to the deck, had a look of surprise on their faces when they heard Noah's words. "My lord, I wonder what you plan to do with us," the chief asked cautiously. "I have brought Angel Island and God's Island under the rule of the Kingdom of Dawn. If you are willing to join and abide by the rules of the Kingdom of Dawn, I can allow you to live in the Island of God." "Sir, do you really allow us to live on the Island of Gods?" The chief was surprised and happy. "Do I need to deceive you? Why would I do this if I'm going to deal with you?" The chief reacted immediately. Indeed, with the current situation, if Noah really wants to deal with the Sandians, he can just kill them directly. There is no need to play any conspiracy at all. "Sir, I am willing to lead the Sandians to join the Kingdom of Dawn." The chief immediately knelt down on one knee and expressed his loyalty to Noah. "Get up. From now on we are a family, and the grudges between you and the Sky Islanders are over." Although Weepa and other young Sandia were unwilling to do so, the chief accepted this reality. After all, they had been fighting against the Skylanders for 400 years and were already tired. Soon, with the cooperation of the chief, 1,273 Sandians from the entire Sandia tribe were gathered together, and then Noah released several large transport ships to bring all these people back to Gaia Island. When the transport ship arrived at the shore of Upper Gaia Island, the chiefs and all the Sandians who set foot on this land were in tears. But soon an uninvited guest arrived. A huge python emerged from the sea of clouds. Noah's conquerors condensed instantly, as if the pressure of the earth was shattering, directly suppressing Nolan, the Lord of the Sky, trembling. "I know you understand. From now on, you will be the guardian of this empty island. Are you willing?" Nolan, the Lord of the Sky, has already felt the chill in Noah's words, as if he would tear him into pieces if he disagreed, and he was so frightened that he nodded quickly. "Go down and play by yourself. Don't hurt anyone in the future." Nolan immediately ran into the sea of clouds, as if he had been granted amnesty. The chief looked at the giant snake leaving, with a hint of reminiscence on his face. It turned out to be the Lord of the Sky. Lord Noah is really powerful. Noah did not chat with them, but led a group of people to the Shantora ruins. Then he took down the golden clock and the historical texts that were topped by huge vines. The golden bell. It turned out to be a golden bell. The chief touched the golden bell very excitedly, and then looked at the black boulder. "This is what our ancestors have always guarded." Noah laughed. "Haha, you should be lucky that you were washed up on the island by the sky current. Otherwise, you would have been destroyed long ago." "What? Why?" Weepa was a little confused. "Do you know what this thing is?" "This is a historical text and a taboo of the world government. If you are still down on Gaia Island, sooner or later you will be targeted by the world government and then completely destroyed by it." Then Noah reminded again. "The other Rolando has an agreement with your ancestors, etc. You'd better not get confused." The chief felt a little uncomfortable, but he was still very restrained. "Lord Noah, although we agreed to join the Kingdom of Dawn, Rolando's agreement is related to the promise of our ancestors, and we cannot break it. Let's read this book before we talk." Noah handed over a copy of The Big Talker. The chief was a little confused, but he still took it. When he saw the contents of the book, a hint of anger appeared on his face. "Our benefactor has been slandered as a liar." Noah shook his head, really worried about the IQ of these people. "You are really honest people. You are still grateful after being sold." "Lord Noah, what do you mean?" The chief frowned. Rolando exposed the fact that there was gold on Gaia Island. Later, the expedition fleet of the Kingdom of Lubner came to Gaia Island based on Rolando's description, but did not find any gold on it. Then he was executed by the king. "Don't you know? Did you find anything wrong in this matter?" The chief thought carefully, and suddenly he broke into a cold sweat. "It seems that you have already realized that if Shantora had not been washed up on the Sky Island at that time, your fate would have been to be attacked by the expedition fleet of the Lubner Kingdom, and you might even have been destroyed. How could this happen?" The chief felt extremely uncomfortable for a moment. The Sandians have been waiting for the agreement for 400 years, but there are such hidden consequences behind it. The other Sandians also looked uncomfortable. End of chapter. Chapter 49. After Noah's awakening, the Sandians finally got to know Rolando again. Although the other party helped solve the tree plague of the Shandya tribe at the time, he later made the whole world aware of the large amount of gold in Shantora. If the soaring sea currents hadn't washed Shantara onto the Sky Island, the Sandians would have most likely perished. At this time, the Sandians also became indifferent to the so-called agreement and gave up the idea of ringing the golden bell. As for the older historical text, the Sandians also gave it to Noah. This kind of thing is really too dangerous. Once discovered by the world government, even on an empty island, the other party will find ways to take it away. Block history text taken away. After settling the Sandia people, Noah arranged the Sandia chief, Gone 4, and the feathered village chief to serve as consultants in the governor's mansion on Lion Island to assist Noah in managing the Paradise Sky Governor's District. Get it all done. Noah once again took Shiki and to the direction of Burka, the empty island, while Tamani, as the temporary governor, stayed to sit in the governor's mansion of Lion Island. Burka is on the south side of Angel Island, and the distance between the two islands is about 322 kilometers. The Nautilus moved at full speed toward Burka. It only took a dozen hours to see the outline of Burka. The Sky Island of Burka is much smaller than Angel Island, with a population of less than 1,500 people. This Sky Island is very barren. There is no soaring current in the waters of Gaia Island below it, but a windless zone close to South Blue. When the Burkas saw the Nautilus, they immediately surrounded it. Noah is a direct conqueror's blast. Burka's god and priest troops were instantly pressed to the ground by the conquerors, and they paid the price for their greed. Looking at the shivering Burka people, the wings of these Burka people are obviously larger than the wings of the Sky Islanders on Angel Island. Arei, go and bring Mary here. Okay, brother. Alei opened the wormhole and disappeared on the deck. After a while, the wormhole opened again. Ar appeared in front of him with Mary. Mary, I leave their review to you. Mary nodded helplessly. It's so troublesome. There are more than 1,000 people. Soon the Noah family took control of the entire Burka and began to comprehensively transform the entire Burka. And of course, there's the search for the thunder fruit hidden in Burka. Noah did not find the thunder fruit in the Burka temple, but found many technological drawings left by the ancestors of the Burka people, the Moon people, including the spacecraft design drawing called Ark Proverbs. Noah attached great importance to this drawing. Although the power of Ark's Proverbs requires a huge amount of electricity, only the thunder fruit can maximize its function. But this does not mean that the Noah family cannot use it, because Ajay has further developed the graphite fruit, and has now developed a graphene battery, which has a very strong upper limit of energy storage per unit. If you don't build a large Ark of Proverbs, but a medium-sized one, then using graphene batteries, wind turbines, and airbags, you can basically achieve long-distance air flight. This is more comprehensive than a single Ark motto, and safer than a buoyant wooden boat floating on floating fruits. After all, the floating of the Pia fruit is the effect of the fruit's ability. Once Shiki has an accident, these floating wooden boats will be directly destroyed. Therefore, the large-scale production of medium-sized Ark Proverbs, as the core transportation channel for the family to control the Sky Island, is something that must be taken seriously. 3 days later, Noah was in the temple, looking at Enel, who looked unruly. Enel has been very unconvinced since he was captured by the air cavalry the day before yesterday. For the 23-year-old Enel, his 3 views have almost been fixed. If it weren't for the fact that the other person had not done any evil at this time, and that Burka was also the one being bullied, Noah would have killed him with a knife. He looked at Mary. Give him a chance and send him to a training camp to be reborn. If he still refuses to change his ways, then send him to be reincarnated. Enel was shocked when he heard Noah's words. Mary nodded, and then reported on the review work of the past few days. Brother Noah, all the evil people among the Burka people have been eliminated. A total of 28 people. All of them have been executed. Noah looked through the review report and found that Burka's god was also among those being purged, which didn't surprise him. After all, the atmosphere in Burka is to be hostile to people from other places, especially people without wings. Without the leading role of the Burka god, other Burka people would certainly not behave so blatantly. During Mary's review, this Burka god not only oppressed those without wings, but also expelled those Burkas over 50 years old on the grounds of limited resources. This policy has been implemented for more than 30 years. In fact, although Burka is poor, it is not unable to support dozens of elderly people. However, as the ruler of God, he definitely needs to enjoy it, so he can only obtain resources from other Burka people. This is reality. For killing these people, Noah had no emotion or pity in his heart. Mary left the temple carrying Enel. Ali, who was in charge of the search, walked into the temple with a hint of embarrassment. Brother Noah, we haven't found the thunder fruit these days. Isn't it Burka? Noah thought about it, and suddenly he remembered something. Go and investigate the area where Burka performed the flowing cloud punishment, and focus on searching this area, the execution area of Lyoyun's punishment. I'll go there right away. The reason why Noah thinks that the thunder fruit is in that area is because of Enel's unwelcome status in Burka. The only area where Enel can obtain the thunder fruit is Burka and the surrounding White Sea. Since no thunder fruit was found around Burka, the place where Enel later obtained the thunder fruit was most likely the area where he was executed as a floating cloud. 2 days later, Arai appeared in the temple carrying a small box. Brother Noah, the thunder fruit is indeed in the execution area of Lyoyun punishment. I found a dilapidated sailboat there that was 200 years ago. The thunder fruit is in the dark layer on the ship. Noah opened the small box and looked at the golden thunder fruit, with a hint of joy on his face. Thunder fruit, a Logia fruit, is among the most powerful among Logia. It has super speed similar to the sparkling fruit, and has better flexibility than the sparkling fruit, terrifying attack power, and super assistance. If Enel in the original timeline didn't know how to be armed and domineering, and didn't pay attention to physical training, his strength would definitely not be like that. As for Enel being defeated by Wang Lufei, this is actually the halo of the protagonist. Without armament haki and wisdom haki, Wang Luffy would not be able to attack Enel even if he was immune to lightning and heat. After all, Enel has super strong domineering power and can also transform into elements. Thunder and lightning are not restrained by water like the rustling fruit, so he is basically invincible. Wang Lufei's ability to defeat Enel is purely due to the aura of the protagonist. End of chapter. Chapter 50. After finding the thunder fruit, Noah did not store the fruit. After all, the fruit was too important. Noah asked Ar to bring Joshua to the empty island. Soon Eri took Joshua through the wormhole to the Burka temple. Brother, what's the matter? Of course it's a good thing. Noah handed over the thunder fruit. This is the thunder fruit. You can eat it. This is the thunder fruit? Joshua looked at the golden fruit in the small box with a hint of surprise on his face. Since among the core members of the family, except for Vic, a dedicated taijutsu practitioner, everyone else had already eaten the devil fruit. So Joshua did not push it around and directly picked up the thunder fruit. Brother, thank you. Then, Joshua bit off a large piece of pulp, and his expression suddenly became extremely ferocious, as if his soul was about to leave his body. However, he still suppressed his nausea and ate the remaining pulp one bite at a time. Noah had already taken out a large bottle of watermelon juice that Joshua liked to drink from the card. Take a sip of watermelon juice and take it slow. Thanks, brother. Joshua lifted the big bottle and drank tons and tons of watermelon juice. After drinking more than 10 liters of watermelon juice, he took a long breath. I'm alive again. Try your ability, Noah reminded. Okay. Joshua closed his eyes and concentrated. Soon, dense electric current was flowing on the surface of his body, and then his palms began to turn into blue-purple electric light. Sizzling. A scene like the chorus of Chidori resounded inside the temple. From this moment on, the power of the thunder fruit began to appear. After 300 years, the thunder and lightning of the thunder fruit will finally ring through the world again. Noah released a large amount of iron sand from the card. Joshua has long seen Noah's development ideas for various devil fruits. This development idea, together with the devil fruit illustrations, was compiled by Noah into the Book of Devils. In addition, Joshua's strength at this time was close to that of the Brigadier General of Marine Headquarters. After obtaining the thunder fruit, his strength instantly skyrocketed. Electromagnetism, magnetron. The several tons of iron sand in the temple, attracted by the electromagnetic force, quickly wrapped around Joshua, and soon wrapped him into a black cocoon. Ley metallurgy. The electric current turned into high heat, instantly melting part of the iron sand. Magnet shaping. High-frequency shock sword. Electromagnetic gun. Magnetic levitation. Magnetic field induction. Thor mode. Plasma cannon. Forced magnetization. High-heat degaussing. Magnetic shield. Electromagnetic mutual interaction. It was too powerful. The thunder fruit ability that Joshua showed at this time, if he hadn't intentionally controlled it, it would have been easy to destroy Burka. To a certain extent, the thunder fruit is the upper level of the magnetic fruit. It is naturally capable of restraining Paramecia's magnetic fruit. The high-temperature demagnetization alone made the magnetic fruit unable to fight back. What's the limit of what you can see and hear? Joshua sensed it carefully for a moment. It covers about 200 kilometers in all directions and about 1,000 kilometers in one direction. Not bad. It's almost the same as me. Noah was very satisfied. With the Thunder Fruit and his original foundation, Joshua is now comparable to the elite lieutenant generals of Marine headquarters and will soon reach the level of general. At this time, the Noah family has become very powerful. With the weird paramecia, 3 logias, and a lot of middle-level members, it is not impossible that the family's overall strength will reach the strength of Marine headquarters in the future. Lillian's Burning Fruit can compete with Sakaski's Rock Fruit, and its potential is even more powerful. Joshua's Thunder Fruit can compete with Porcelino's Sparkling Fruit. The potential of the Thunder Fruit is slightly higher than that of the Sparkling Fruit. Monet's Snowy Fruit can compete with Kazan's Frozen Fruit, but the potential of the Snowy Fruit is still obviously not as good as the Frozen Fruit. Fortunately, Noah can strengthen Monet's ability development through scientific guidance. The temperature of Snow Fruit is definitely not comparable to that of Frozen Fruit, but this does not mean that Snow Fruit has no other ways to increase its strength, because conceptually, snow is a state, not a substance. In other words, snow can be formed from water or other substances. For example, oxygen snow, hydrogen snow, nitrogen snow, carbon dioxide snow, etc. This is the core development route of Shue fruit. Comparing low temperature with frozen fruit is just using your own weaknesses to compete with the opponent's strengths. There is no possibility of victory at all. However, various snow substances in a different way can improve the strength and potential of snow fruits to a certain extent. For example, oxygen snow allows Monet to turn the oxygen in a confined space into a snowflake state in an instant, causing local hypoxia. This is almost a crushing blow to opponents other than Logia. At the same time, oxygen snow can produce pure oxygen gas, which can also play a huge role in treating and aggravating combustion. Carbon dioxide snow can create artificial rainfall in the clouds and can also poison enemies. All in all, as long as your thinking does not slip, there are always more solutions than difficulties. After Joshua tried some ability applications with Burka, he returned to the Rum Kingdom to practice secretly. Noah transferred Monet from the temporary headquarters of the Rum Kingdom and replaced Tamani as the temporary head of the Paradise Sky Governor's region. After all, the deterrent effect of Shue fruit on Sky Island is more powerful. Tamani's artistic fruit is not suitable for frontal combat. He is now the deputy director of the supervision department and is responsible for the intelligence work of the winery. The artistic fruit has a good application direction in intelligence. At the same time, Noah used the power of the Piao Piao fruit to move all the Burka people on Burka Sky Island to Field Island next to Angel Island. As for Burka, he did not give up completely, because this place is one of the nodes of Sky Island's Western Sky Route, and it is also the only place to go from Angel Island to the top of the Western Sky. There is no development potential here, but it serves as an observation station and outpost. But there is no problem. Noah asked Monet to arrange for a small team of Sky Cavalry, 10 people, to be stationed here in Burka to prevent other Sky Islanders from entering Angel Island directly. This watch team will rotate every other month. After Noah returned to Lion Island, he replanned 5 empty islands, and at the same time strengthened the monitoring of Gaia Island, especially during the time when the soaring currents broke out every month, to prevent anyone from sneaking in. Therefore, it is very necessary to set up several fixed outposts in the White Sea area below. Noah left all these matters to Monet, Chief Care, Gone 4, and Urin Village Chief Usha to handle. Noah himself took Shiki, Weepa, and others secretly to the Sea of Paradise, the Great Route. Their first stop was Gaia Island below. In the dead of night, Noah and his party descended from the sky and appeared not far from the Magic Valley town on Gaia Island. This is the first time that the Noah family has officially entered the Grand Line end of chapter.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.